Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve. Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
Lots of comedy today, and we might have a chance for a little bit of news in the segment, too. We'll have Our Miss Brooks starring Eve Arden, Amos and Andy, Bob Hope, Jimmy Durante, Father Knows Best, and an episode of Claudia. That's all straight ahead on this Sunday, the 4th day of February, 35th day of the year, 331 days until we get to 2025. George Washington unanimously elected to be the first president by the Electoral College, and this date in 1789. In 1792, he was unanimously elected to a second term. In 1801, John Marshall sworn in as Chief Justice of the U.S. in 1801. In 1825, the Ohio legislature authorized the construction of the Ohio and Erie Canal and the Miami and Erie Canal. 1861, in Montgomery, Alabama, delegates from 6 breakaway U.S. states met and formed the Confederate States of America. Radium-E became the first radioactive element to be made synthetically in 1936. In 1941, the United Service Organization created to entertain our American troops, the USO. The first nuclear-powered submarine, the USS Nautilus, logged its 60,000th nautical mile, matching the endurance of the fictional Nautilus described in Jules Verne's novel 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. In 1961, Lunar Orbiter 3 lifted off from Cape Canaveral Launch Command, Complex 13, on its mission to identify possible landing sites for the Surveyor and Apollo spacecrafts. In 1969, Yasser Arafat took over as chairman of the Palestinian Liberation Organization. And in 1974, the Symbionese Liberation Army kidnapped Patricia Hearst in California.
I died in that fire on 54th Street, but out of the ashes I was reborn. I know what I have to do. Our comrades didn't die in vain. The pig lies about the advisability of surrender have only made me more determined. I renounced my class privilege when Sin and Cujo gave me the name Tanya.
A tape released in April of 1974 of Patty Hearst, kidnapped on this date in 1974. In 1987, the Stars and Stripes retook the America's Cup.
Stars and Stripes turned the last mark 1 minute 16 seconds in front in winds of around 20 knots, the sort of conditions she's been dominant in right through this America's Cup series. And now she's coming up to the committee boat. She'll go right past that committee boat, waiting for the gun. She's coming up to the line about 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There goes the gun. Stars and Stripes has done it. Stars and Stripes has regained the America's Cup, lost by Dennis Conner in 1983.
I think the boat performed well. The crew did a good job. We had good sail selection. Our starts weren't spectacular, but we didn't lose many starts either. And it was a pretty tough package out there on the race course. We had good speed, and I think they did a good job. It's just that on this particular set of 4 races, Stars and Stripes was a little better.
And, America wouldn't really have cared about America's Cup and yacht racing had it not been for Ted Turner, who got involved in that with his television broadcasts of it over TBS. 1992, a coup d'etat led by Hugo Chavez Frias against Venezuelan President Carlos Andrés Perez. And in 1993, Larry Bird told a sold-out Boston crowd he was done.
Tonight I leave you and I say thank you. I'll be around. But tonight, my basketball career is officially over, and I had a blast.
Larry Bird retiring on this date in 1993. In 1996, a major snowstorm paralyzed Milwaukee and tied an all-time record low temperature 26 degrees below zero. 1999, unarmed West African immigrant Amadou Dio shot dead by 4 plainclothes New York City policemen on an unrelated stakeout that inflamed race relations in the city. In 2004, Facebook, founded by Mark Zuckerberg, And in 2006, to give you an idea of the poverty in so much of the world, a stampede occurred in the Ultra Stadium near Manila on this date in 2006.
People had been camping outside the sports stadium for days to get tickets to an anniversary celebration of a very popular television game show. Now, tickets were started to be handed out at dawn, and people were pushing to get the tickets when someone in the crowd apparently shouted "bomb," which caused amazing panic as people were pushing for the tickets and pushing to get out, and many were crushed against a steel fence.
Now, 71 people killed in a crush to possibly win prizes, including jeepneys, taxis, and a top prize of 1 million pesos, about $25,000. And believe it or not, in the Philippines, that was life-changing money. Passing away on this date in history, instrument maker Adolph Sax, yes, the saxophone. We lost Karen Carpenter on this date in history, along with Liberace. Pro wrestler Whipper Billy Watson, who had a marvelous career, jazz trombonist J.J. Johnson, feminist Betty Friedan, singer-actress Barbara McNair, captain, pilot, and astronaut Edgar Mitchell, and dad on Frasier, John Mulhoney. Birth dates today include Nigel Bruce, a very fine actor, know him best for his roles in The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, pilot Charles Lindbergh, activist Rosa Parks, actor William Tallman, you remember him from Perry Mason, also Ida Lupino, Janet Waldo, Betty Friedan, from Different Strokes and Maude, Conrad Bain, comedian David Brenner, and film director George Romero.
Hi, this is Jeff Foxworthy. It is now time for the birthday announcements. The following people are now officially older than dirt.
And among those born on this date, he was in Burke's Law with Gene Barry and also in The Land of the Giants. Gary Conway is 88 today. From Macmillan and Wife, John Shuck is 84. The Fifth Dimension's Florence LaRue is 82. Former Vice President Dan Quayle is 77. Alice Cooper, 76. From Xanadu and the Warriors, Michael Beck is 75. From Yanks, Lisa Eichhorn is 72. From Aliens, Jeanette Goldstein is 64. Mr. Lisa Hartman, musician Clint Black, country singer, 62 years old today. Also Natalie Imbruglia, the fine singer, is 49. And singer-songwriter Gavin DeGraw is 47. Those just a few of the people celebrating the 4th day of February as their birthday. And if this happens to be your birthday,
happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you.
And on this Sunday Classic Radio Theater, we're going to go back to another Sunday, 73 years ago, February 4th, 1951. Eve Arden in Our Miss Brooks. That's up next here on this Sunday Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
For almost 2 centuries, Americans have enjoyed the valuable privileges of freedom. Now, freedom needs each American to dedicate himself to its preservation. We must not allow our liberties to be endangered by neglect of our duties as citizens. During this year of rededication, join with your fellow Americans in reaffirming the principles on which this country is founded and the safeguarding of those principles. Make it your business to see that federal, state, and local governments are conducted honestly. Help to maintain the good morale of your sons and daughters in the armed forces. Learn the facts about all candidates and issues. Then vote for the one you believe in. Make the most of every minute on your job. Produce as much as you can, and thus increase our military and economic strength. Work for better schools and a better community. Guard your American heritage of freedom. It needs you.
And on this Sunday Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, let's go back to another Sunday, 73 years ago, February 4th, 1951. Eve Arden stars as Our Miss Brooks and the Love Triangle, with Mrs. Davis involved.
Colgate Dental Cream to clean your breath while you clean your teeth and help stop tooth decay, and Palmolive Shave Creams for a smoother, more comfortable way to shave bring you Our Miss Brooks, transcribed and starring Eve Arden. It's time once again for another comedy episode of Our Miss Brooks, under the direction of Al Lewis. Well, like most school teachers, our Miss Brooks, who teaches English at Madison High School, has been exposed to her share of puppy love.
I'll say I have. It's getting so I can't look a puppy in the face without flinching. But the kids at school are nothing compared to the case I discovered at home between my landlady, Mrs. Davis, and Horace Barlow, the school's new basement custodian. Although she met him a week ago at a school tea, up until Thursday morning at breakfast, she kept denying anything but a passing interest in him.
Please, Connie, just because Horace Barlow has been over a few times is no reason for people to jump to conclusions. My goodness, Horace isn't jumping to conclusions.
At his age, Horace is lucky if he can limp to conclusions. But I've seen you two together, Mrs. Davis.
As far as I'm concerned, I think of Horace as just a real nice boy.
And he is, too. A real nice 68-year-old boy.
He happens to be 54, Connie. He told me so himself.
I know, Mrs. Davis, and Jack Benny is 39. Not that I'm criticizing your friendship. Far from it. I'm delighted that Horace is so genuinely fond of you.
Oh, Connie, Horace doesn't even know I'm alive.
Well, don't let that worry you. It's hard to tell about him most of the time.
Anyway, I'm simply not interested in anything but the most casual relationship. Heavens, if I were thinking seriously, I'd try to find out something about the man, wouldn't I?
Haven't you?
Definitely not. I'm not even mildly curious. I haven't the slightest idea where he keeps his $10,000 life insurance policy. And I have no knowledge whatsoever of how he got his leg wounded in the Mexican War, for which he gets a $53 a month pension. Why, I don't even know in what bank he keeps his $2,619 savings account.
Shame on you. You haven't even got his Social Security number.
S498265.
Oh, that's Walter Denton. He's driving me to school. Be right there, Walter. Now, is there anything you want me to say to Mr. Barlow for you if I happen to see him at school?
Not a thing, Connie.
Okay.
There's no necessity of even mentioning to him that I'm not busy tonight.
I see.
And there's no need for any remarks about the cake I'm baking today being too big for one person to finish alone.
I'll be as silent as the tomb.
And above all, it would be utterly shameless if you were to hear that I don't want to waste the box of cigars I bought yesterday.
You can trust me implicitly, Mrs. Davis. I won't say a word to Mr. Barlow. I'll just hit him on the head and drag him home. I'm glad you picked me up early this morning, Walter. I've got an errand to do for Mrs. Davis before my first class.
I'll get you there with the speed of a gazelle, Miss Brooks. Oh, by the way, how's Mrs. Davis's romance with Mr. Barlow coming along?
Oh, have you noticed that, too? I think it's the cutest thing in the world. Mrs. Davis actually has a bad case of puppy love.
It is cute, considering she's in her second puppyhood. No disrespect intended, you understand. After all, what could be more romantic than two lonely old people encountering the grand passion in the sere and yellow leaf of life?
Why, that's absolutely poetic, Walter.
The burning desires of youth long past, they look now for the subdued glow of companionship, the warm and simple pleasures that two elderly people in love can share together.
I can see them now, soaking their feet in the same pan of Epsom salt.
I'll bet you'd like to find romance at that age, Miss Brooks.
At the rate I'm going now, I'm counting on it. But, Walter, I'd just as soon you don't mention the subject at school. It might be a source of embarrassment to Mr. Barlow.
My trap is sealed, Miss Brooks. Now, what's the errand you're going to do for Mrs. Davis this morning?
Well, off the record, I'm going to invite Mr. Barlow over to the house tonight. He's been a little backward about asking for a date.
I get it. You're Mrs. Davis's John Alden. Now all you got to do is get Mr. Barlow to invite Mr. Boynton over for you, and you're all set.
Meeting's adjourned.
Hi, Miss Brooks. You're pretty early today, aren't you?
Hello, Harriet. I've got to deliver a message to the custodian. Have you seen him?
Oh, yes. Mr. Barlow just went into his office. Isn't it wonderful, Miss Brooks?
I don't know. I've never been in his office.
I mean about Mr. Barlow and Mrs. Davis. They're crazy about each other. Of course, it's a big secret.
Couldn't be a bigger secret if they took out an ad.
Is there anything more romantic than the mellow romance of old age?
Now, please, Harriet.
To think of two people finding love at a time of life when others are preparing to pass on. Two people walking hand in hand in the twilight of life.
Yes, there's nothing like a brisk walk before passing on.
Well, I won't keep you any longer. Far be it from me to delay Mrs. Davis's emissary of love. Good luck in your mission, John Alden.
Thank you, Priscilla.
Come in.
I hope I'm not disturbing you, Mr. Barlow, but there's something I wanted to ask you.
Well, then go ahead and ask. If you want to get apples, you got to shake the tree. Now, what is it?
It's just this. I was wondering if tonight, that is, if you haven't any other plans, Mrs. Davis isn't doing anything, and I'm sure she'd be pleased if you wanted to drop over.
Well, that's right neighborly. Would you like me to drop over?
Of course. I'm sure you and Mrs. Davis will have a lovely evening together.
Are you planning on staying in, Miss Brooks?
I suppose so, Mr. Barlow, but I'm sure that at your age you don't need any chaperone.
You're right about that. Maybe we could send Mrs. Davis to a movie.
Send Mrs. Davis to a movie?
Sure. Oh, there's no sense in my trying to hide it any longer. Why, the only reason I've been coming around Mrs. Davis's place is to be near you.
Near me? But you've been making dates with Mrs. Davis.
Well, naturally. You gotta slip the drones a little honey if you want to get next to the queen bee.
You, Mr. Barlow, are barking up the wrong hive. This is ridiculous. I simply can't believe it's even happening.
I couldn't believe it myself. I just couldn't understand the feeling that swept over me when I first saw you, Miss Brooks. In fact, since that time, I've had my glasses changed twice. But it's still the same. I keep asking myself, where have you been all my life?
For 3/4 of it, I wasn't even born. Look, Mr. Barlow, there's a great difference in our ages.
Oh, nonsense, Miss Brooks. I just don't believe in age.
Well, neither do I. I've been standing it off for years. I mean, if you'll think this over for a while, you'll realize that it just couldn't work out.
Why not? Is there somebody else playing the piano in your front parlor?
No, but Mr. Boynton plays the ukulele on my back porch. We've been going together for quite a while now.
You mean that biology fella? Oh, shucks, he's just an unsophisticated kid. Why, you couldn't warm him up if you stuck a Bunsen burner under him.
You've been peeking. That is, Mr. Boynton's just shy about expressing his feelings.
He ain't got no feelings, if you ask me. Leastwise, not like I have, especially since I met you. Why, I just knew today was going to bring some excitement into my life. I got the strangest sensation right after breakfast.
Maybe something fell into your gruel.
There's no two ways about it, sis. I'm smitten.
Well, Would it unsmit you if I told you that I was engaged to Mr. Boynton?
Engaged? Oh, but he wasn't even over to your place the nights I visited Mrs. Davis.
He must have been working. If you come over tonight, I'm sure he'll be there.
Well, seeing is believing. I'll drop by, Miss Brooks, but I still say when it comes to your bringing me messages from Mrs. Davis, speak for yourself, John Alden.
There's no use talking. These man-tailored suits have got to go.
Brush your teeth with Colgate. Colgate Dental Cream. It cleans your breath.
What a toothpaste.
While it cleans your teeth.
Colgate toothpaste.
Cleans your breath.
What a toothpaste.
While it cleans your teeth.
Colgate Dental Cream cleans your breath while it cleans your teeth. And the Colgate way stops tooth decay best.
Yes, the Colgate way is the most thoroughly proved and accepted home method of oral hygiene known today. Over 2 years' research showed brushing teeth right after eating with Colgate Dental Cream helped stop more decay for more people than ever before reported in dentifrice history. The Colgate way stopped tooth decay best.
No other dentifrice, ammoniated or not, offers such conclusive proof. And you should know that Colgate's, while not mentioned by name, was the only toothpaste used in the research on tooth decay recently reported in Reader's Digest.
So always follow the Colgate way to clean your breath while you clean your teeth and stop tooth decay best.
Brush your teeth with Colgate. Colgate Dental Cream. It cleans your breath.
What a toothpaste.
While it cleans your teeth.
And the Colgate way stops tooth decay best.
Well, I was quite chagrined to find out that Horace Barlow was more interested in me than he was in Mrs. Davis. This was one triangle I was determined would not be eternal, not even overnight. Therefore, at lunchtime, I headed for Mr. Boynton's table in the cafeteria. But just as I got halfway to it... Oh, Mr. Conklin, I'm terribly sorry, sir.
You're slipping, Miss Brooks. You only knocked 2 dishes off my lunch tray today.
I guess I didn't watch where I was going.
Obviously. When you do, you get the whole tray.
Well, luckily, nothing happened to your apple pie. The plate is broken, but the pie is intact. Here.
Thank you. Even more luckily, nothing seems to have gotten on my clothes.
No, sir. I've never seen you look so neat. White carnation and all.
I spoke too soon. That's vanilla ice cream.
This never would have happened, sir, but I'm terribly preoccupied today.
This must be Preoccupied Day at Madison High. I've had nothing but trouble with our new school custodian for the same reason.
You mean Mr. Barlow?
Yes, he forgets about the furnace, he forgets to fix the pipes. The old goat acts as if he was in love.
Maybe he is in love.
Mr. Barlow? But who could a 70-year-old codger be in love with?
He happens to be 54.
Yes, and Jack Benny is 39. Horace Barlow in love. Oh, at his age, he probably can't tell the difference between a woman and a kangaroo.
Probably not. Well, if you'll excuse me, I'll be hopping off to lunch. No doubt I'll run into you later in the day, Mr. Conklin.
It is with that thought in mind that I carry every possible form of accident and hospitalization insurance. Good day, Miss Brooks.
Good day, Mr. Conklin. He's got a lot of nerve. Just because a person's lived a few more years than some other person.
I don't like to interrupt, Miss Brooks, but if you keep talking to yourself, you'll make an eavesdropper out of me.
Oh, I'm sorry, Walter. I've had a little shock this morning. You see, I spoke to Horace Barlow a short time ago about making a date with Mrs. Davis.
What'd he say?
He says he's not interested in Mrs. Davis. He's smitten with somebody else.
Somebody else? But he can't do that to Mrs. Davis. Oh, she's a very sensitive little lady, and she's nuts about him. She'll be terribly hurt.
That's what I'm afraid of.
He doesn't know when he's well off. I'd like to see the hunk of crowbait he's fallen for.
Now, just a minute, Walter. It so happens that Mr. Barlow thinks he's in love with me.
With you? But that's illegal. It's unthinkable. It's
Let's just call it unusual. Actually, Walter, I'm extremely worried about the situation. Mrs. Davis and I have been friends for too long to let a thing like this come between us.
Why don't you just tell old Barlow to go peddle his papers?
I did, practically. I even told him I was engaged to Mr. Boynton. That's what I'm worried about. They're both coming over tonight, and I've got to prove it.
Oh, what's so tough about that? I'm sure Mr. Boynton will cooperate.
You are?
Sure. For one night.
Oh.
Now, the next thing you gotta do is get Mrs. Davis out of the house tonight. Because if she caught you and Mr. Boynton acting as if you were engaged, she'd know something was rotten in Denmark.
What a sweet way to put it. But, Walter, how do I get Mrs. Davis out of the house?
Well, easy. There's an old bachelor friend of my dad's staying at the house for a couple of days, Mr. Gordon. I'm sure he'd like a date with a nice, clean-cut character like Mrs. Davis. And I'll ask her to go out with him as a favor to my folks.
What about Mr. Barlow? She expects him tonight.
Well, just tell her he couldn't make it. Say his blood pressure hit a new high or something. Now, you go find Mr. Boynton, and I'll call home and make sure Mr. Gordon's available to act as Davis bait for the evening. See you later, Miss Brooks.
All right, Walter, and thanks. Me and the night and the music. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Oh, Mr. Boynton, I've got to talk to you right away.
What's wrong, Miss Brooks?
It's about Mrs. Davis. You know, she's got a crush on the school custodian, Mr. Barlow. But unfortunately, he's head over heels in love with somebody else.
Please, Miss Brooks, don't make me laugh while I'm drinking coffee. Mr. Barlow's an old man. What kind of a shriveled-up prune could he fall for?
Why does it have to be a prune? For all you know, Mr. Barlow could be crazy about a nice, young, firm, fuzzy peach. Besides, he's only 48.
He's 70 at least. And not what you'd call in prime condition. Why, his hyperthyroidism is apparent, and his incipient arteriosclerosis masking cardiac decompensation was evident to me after one glance.
It's a good thing you didn't take a second glance. He'd be a goner. The truth is, Mr. Boynton, that Mr. Barlow's been coming to our place just so he could be near me. If I'd known you were going to get so excited, I'd have worn my raincoat. Here, use this napkin.
I'm sorry, Miss Brooks, but I couldn't help exploding. Do you mean to tell me Mr. Barlow is in love with you?
That's right. We hyperthyroids have to stick together. Look, Mr. Boynton, I know it's an absurd situation, but my only real concern is Mrs. Davis. I've got to discourage Mr. Barlow once and for all, and you've got to help me.
Oh, me? Well, what can I do?
Well, he's coming over to our place tonight. I invited him this morning on behalf of Mrs. Davis. That's when he told me how he felt about me, and that's when I told him something utterly fantastic.
What did you tell him?
That you and I were engaged to be married. Here's the napkin.
Engaged to be married, but Miss Brooks, that's utterly fantastic.
I'm glad I said it first. Don't you see, Mr. Boynton, this is very important to someone who's very important to me. Mrs. Davis is just about the best friend I've got.
Well, if that's the case, Miss Brooks, I guess the least I can do is cooperate.
Will you really, Mr. Boynton?
Sure. For one night. Oh, boy, I'm full. That was a very fine dinner, Miss Brooks.
I'm glad you liked it, Mr. Boynton. I opened it all by myself. I hope Mr. Gordon took Mrs. Davis to a nice place for dinner. He appears to be a jolly old fellow, doesn't he?
Oh, yes, indeed. And I noticed he gave you a pretty thorough once-over when he was introduced. You seem to pack quite a wallop for these elderly Joes.
That's me, the Cleopatra of the cardiac cases. But I'd better clear away these dishes. Mr. Barlow will be over any minute.
Oh, if that's the case, shouldn't we be getting into the mood?
The mood?
Oh, yes, we're supposed to be engaged, aren't we?
Oh, that mood. Why, Mr. Boynton, I can hardly believe my ears.
Why? There's no sense making a chore out of this thing. We might as well have some fun doing it.
Fun doing it?
Certainly. Now let's get started.
Get started?
The quicker the better.
Quicker the better?
Of course, come on.
Come on? I mean, come on.
Well, sure. You wash and I'll dry.
So much for the hopes of Connie Brooks, girl dreamer. Look, Mr. Boynton, working in the kitchen is the way married people would get into the mood. Engaged couples do their work in the parlor with soft light.
Okay, we'll take a big basin of water and do the dishes in the parlor.
Sometimes I wish you were ugly. Come on, Mr. Boynton, I'll attend to the dishes later. Let's sit down in the living room,
All right, Miss Brooks. It isn't too healthy to commence working right after a meal anyway.
That must be Mr. Barlow. Just make yourself comfortable. I'll let him in.
Well, here I am, Brooksy. Fit as a fiddle and twice as musical.
Come in, Mr. Barlow. I fixed a little dinner for my fiancé this evening. We've just finished eating it. Follow me, won't you?
Your fiancé? Oh, then you mean you actually...
Hello, darling. Did you miss me?
Miss you?
I hated to leave you alone for so many seconds, but I just had to let Mr. Barlow in. You remember Mr. Barlow, don't you, dear?
Oh, of course. How are you, Mr. Barlow?
Snappy as a cookie and twice as full of ginger. But let's get to the point. Miss Brooks here told me that you two are engaged. Is that true?
Well, yes, it is.
Well, then how come nobody around school's heard anything about it?
Because we wanted it that way. We've been secretly engaged for over 6 months now, haven't we, darling?
We certainly have, Miss Brooks.
Miss Brooks? Why does he call you Miss Brooks if you're going to be married?
He doesn't like any display of affection in front of company. Let's sit down, shall we? Mr. Barlow, draw up a chair, won't you? And, sweetheart, you draw up a chair and we'll sit down.
We? But, Miss Brooks, I worked out with the basketball team yesterday, and my knees are a little weak.
It may be a foul, but I'll never get a shot like this again. Sit down, dear. There we are. Comfy?
Yeah.
Seems mighty strange to me. Most engaged folks I've seen act a little more demonstrative than you do.
But we're mad for each other, aren't we, darling?
Yeah, mad.
You know, dearest, you haven't kissed me in 5 minutes.
What?
I said you haven't kissed me in 5 minutes. What are we going to do about that?
Let's wait another 5, huh?
What's the matter, darling? You want to kiss me, don't you?
Maybe it's me, Miss Brooks.
No, I'm positive he doesn't want to kiss you. Oh, you mean he doesn't want to kiss me in your presence? I'm sure that wouldn't stop my great, big, handsome lover boy, would it, dearest?
Certainly not. Give me your cheek. There.
Wow. Now, how about one to get me down off the ceiling?
Maybe I ought to go.
But why, Mr. Barlow? You just got here.
I know, but won't I be interrupting something?
Only if you go. I mean, stick around a little while longer. I'll see who it is. Don't move, either of you.
Sorry I had to disturb you, Connie, but I forgot my key again.
Mrs. Davis, what are you doing home so early? Here, let me help you off with your coat and eyeglasses.
Mr. Gordon showed me the most wonderful time, Connie. But he has a business appointment first thing in the morning, so we had to cut our date a bit short. Oh, who's that in the living room?
That's Mr. Boynton.
Oh, I see. And who's the man in the other chair?
That's Mr. Boynton, too. He's awfully restless tonight.
Oh, now I see who that is. It's Mr. Barlow. But you told me he wasn't coming over tonight.
He must have changed his mind. Listen, Mrs. Davis, when two people have a beautiful friendship, they've got to do everything in their power to keep it from breaking up, right?
Let's talk later, dear. I've got to get these shoes off at once. Mr. Gordon just danced my tootsies into a stupor. He's a wonderful man, Connie. That's why I want you to do me a little favor.
A favor?
Yes, when you go back into the living room.
What do you want me to do, Mrs. Davis?
Brush off that other old creep for me, will you?
You mean Mr. Barlow?
Yes, I haven't the heart to hurt his feelings.
Well, it'll save a lot of explanations, I guess, but I know I'm going to get 2 birds with 1 stone.
What do you mean, Connie?
As soon as the old duck is gone, my little lovebird will take off like a wounded pelican.
Eve Arden as our Miss Brooks returns in just a moment, but first,
The case of the close scrape, featuring John W. Baker, Justice of the Peace. Here's what Mr. Baker told us. Listen.
here's exactly what happened. Shaving was just one close scrape after another for me, and then I discovered Palmolive lather shave cream and a new, different way to shave. Palmolive's oceans of rich, thick lather ended my worries about scrapes, burns, and nicks. Why, even in cold or hard water, that Palmolive lather way is super smooth, super comfortable.
Take John W. Baker's advice, men. The new Palmolive lather way gets beards really soft, and it provides a protective film that actually floats your razor's cutting edge. You get a clean, close shave every time without worry about scraping or nicking, even in cold or hard water. John W. Baker and 1,200 other men tested Palmolive lather cream following package directions, and 3 out of 4 reported smoother, more comfortable shaves the Palmolive shave cream way, no matter how they shaved before.
Better yet, Palmolive lather shave cream. Remember, even in cold or hard water, the Palmolive lather way means smoother, more comfortable shaves. And now, once again, here is our Miss Brooks.
Well, I told Mr. Barlow that Mrs. Davis had returned home with a bad headache, and he left the house after threatening to call her up very soon. Then, as I was about to barricade the door against Mr. Boynton's next move, he addressed me.
Well, I'm sorry Mrs. Davis doesn't feel well, Miss Brooks. Is she lying down in her room?
Yes, she is, Mr. Boynton.
Well, that leaves just the 2 of us, doesn't it?
Yes, but don't be nervous. It's much too early for you to think of leaving.
Well, I'm not thinking of leaving, Miss Brooks. You and I still have plenty of unfinished business to attend to.
Unfinished business?
Well, certainly.
You and I?
That's right. After all, somebody's got to do those dinner dishes. Suppose you wash and I'll dry.
Better yet, you wash and dry. I've got another engagement.
Well, another engagement?
Sure. If I hurry, I can catch Mr. Barlow before he gets on the bus.
This is Vern Smith reminding you to tune in next week to another Our Miss Brooks show, brought to you by Palmolive Shave Creams for a smoother, more comfortable way to shave, and Colgate Dental Cream to clean your breath while you clean your teeth and help stop tooth decay.
Our Miss Brooks, starring Eve Arden, is produced by Larry Burns, written by Al Lewis, with the music of Wilbur Hatch.
Ladies, now with new improved Vel, V-E-L, you can save 90% of dishwashing work.
Just soak dishes in Vel suds a while. Dishes and glassware will soak sparkling clean. No washing, no wiping, no scouring with Vel. Only the stickiest dishes need just the touch of a cloth. Rinse, and they'll gleam without wiping.
Soak pots and pans in Vel suds, too. And most of them will get shiny clean without scouring.
What's more, Vel is extra mild to hands. So get new Vel. Save 90% of dishwashing work.
If you like mysteries that are as full of chuckles as chills, be sure to hear Mr. and Mrs. North every Tuesday over this same network. Don't miss the exciting and laughable adventures of these amateur detectives. And be with us again next week at the same time for another comedy episode of Our Miss Brooks. Bob Lamont speaking. This program was transcribed. Stay tuned now for Jack Benny.
This is CBS, where our Miss Brooks holds her classes every Sunday, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
73 years ago, February 4th, 1951, Our Miss Brooks, starring Eve Arden, right here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. We'll stay on that same Sunday, take a look at some headlines, and see what's going on with Amos and Andy.
Friends, this is Jim Amici. As we in California know, forest fire's a terrible thing. It robs us of lumber, takes away outdoor recreation, ruins hunting and fishing, destroys homes and property. It can spoil livestock grazing and turn the faucet off on your supply of water that comes from the forest. Fire's mean and vicious, but it can be stopped. Stopped before it ever starts. Here's what you can do to help. 1, crush out your cigarette, cigar, and pipe ashes. 2, break your matches in 2 after you use them. That way you'll be sure they're dead out. 3, drown your campfire with water, then stir it and drown it again. 4, find out all you can about your local and state laws before you use fire outdoors. Please be careful, folks. It's up to us to keep the forest green and productive. Let's all remember what Smokey Bear says. Only you can prevent forest fires.
And on this Sunday Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, we've been listening to an episode of Our Miss Brooks starring Eve Arden, and now we're listening to an episode of Amos and Andy that'll be coming up next. All were broadcast on Sunday, the 4th day of February, 1951. In the newspapers of that Sunday, 73 years ago, these were some of the headlines. A chorus of Republican and Democrat demands for deep slashes in non-defense spending on Capitol Hill yesterday as a result of President Truman's request for a quickie $10 billion tax increase. Senator Byrd, the Democrat of Virginia, said in a statement, "We have taken off the fat from taxpayers by 2 so-called quickie tax bills enacted in the past several months. Further huge tax increases will dig deep into the lean meat and possibly the very bone structure of our economy unless they are eased by elimination of non-essential expenditures." Post offices throughout the nation were ordered to quit accepting certain classes of mail because of the railroad strike. Among congressional demands for action to protect the defense program, Capitol Hill began to talk about anti-strike legislation. Price Director Michael V. DeSalle warned yesterday that the first meat black marketer who is caught will be made a national example, and DeSalle's staff prepared a new and tough meat order designed to aid enforcement of ceiling prices by tight curbs on slaughterers. Curtis Turner, the Assistant General Superintendent of the Memphis, Tennessee Park Commission yesterday, banned ice skating on Chickasaw Lake, saying the ice is not firm. And he should know. He was checking the ice Friday when his 197 pounds crashed through it. And in Greensboro, Alabama, frigid weather brought time to a standstill in Greensboro. The big top atop the Hale County Courthouse froze Friday, and it hadn't ticked since. And that's a look at some of the news items from the newspapers on Sunday, February 4th, 1951. Yes, it was chilly down in the South on this date 73 years ago. And in the newspapers of 73 years ago, and on the radio 73 years ago, it was Amos and Andy on CBS. And let's listen now.
Andy, you know what that music say?
Yes, sir, Amos. That music say good health to all from Rexall.
The Amos and Andy Show, transcribed with Ernestine Wade, Lou Lubin, Johnny C. Lee, John Brown, Will Wright, Gene Vanderpyle, Jester Hairston, Jeff Alexander's music, and radio's all-time favorites, Amos and Andy.
How do you do, ladies and gentlemen? This is Amos. I just want to take a few seconds to thank those of you who have called on your Rexall druggist. Andy and I appreciate it very much. And to those of you who haven't had time, I hope you will find it convenient to drop in to your friendly Rexall drugstore this coming week. Thank you.
The Kingfish finally solved the problem of his mother-in-law living with him for 2 whole days, and the Kingfish was a happy man. But when he returned to his apartment this evening, he found fate had dealt him another cruel blow in the shape of his brother-in-law, Leroy.
Well, what's going on here, Sapphire? First it was your mama moving in here with us, and now it's your goofy brother Leroy. What is we running here, a motel for vultures?
Now listen, George, Leroy is staying with us for a couple of weeks, and that's final.
I tell you that he gotta go. I can't stand it. He spent an hour and a half in the bathroom this morning, made me late for my date at the pool hall. He wore my new suit I got from the Salvation Army. And on top of that, he slept on the sofa all afternoon, so I missed my nap. I tell you, I ain't gonna have no bum around this house.
George, I don't want to hear no more of that. I want you to be nice to Leroy.
Well, all right, then. I'll be congenital to the boy.
Now, listen, George, he's in the other room sleeping, but he asked to be called at 11. Now, you go in there and wake him up.
Wake him up.
Yes?
Be glad to, honey. Be glad to. I'll go right in there now.
George?
What?
Put that hammer back on the table.
Just a thought, just a thought.
So your brother-in-law arrived in town, eh, Kingfish?
Yes, Goofy arrived yesterday in a cattle car.
Cattle car, huh?
Yeah, he told me that he'd been in there for 8 days. I sent him over to the veterinarian to get him examined for hoof and mouth disease. I think they run him through the sheep dip a couple of times. But the Aberdeen Angus still coming through.
Yeah, well, how long are you going to stay, Kingfish?
Well, I don't think very long. I'm making him work for his keep this time, you know.
Yeah.
I'll really give him a job cleaning up that lot next door to the lodge here. I figured with the cold spell, he might get pneumonia or something like that out there.
Yeah, say, I noticed that the rubbish has all gone off that lot there. I thought somebody was going to use it for parking.
No, that belonged to the lodge here. Can't nobody use that for Hey, wait a minute, Joe.
What's the matter?
Why can't we use it for a parking lot and make some money?
Yeah. How would we work the thing, Kingfish?
Oh, it's easy, Andy. Why, we'd go in together on a strictly 50-50 partnership basis. Now, how much money can you put up, Andy?
Well, I could cash in my life insurance policies, close out my checking account, cash in my Christmas Club savings account, and sell that investment stock that I bought. I could raise about $9.
Good. Tell you what, then. You put up your $9, and I'll match it with $9 worth of brains. Now, you see that?
Yeah, well, then we could start off. Hold it. Wait a minute here. Forget that idea. You put up the same amount of cash that I does.
Okay, Andy, but you'd rather have money. It's all right with me. But if I puts up the cash in the business, I reserves the right to use my brains for something else. I'm going to tell you that now.
Well, how much could we make out of the parking lot?
Well, let's figure it out, sure. You just take the amount of space we got and divide it by the number of cars we can park.
Yeah, well, how much space has we got in that lot?
Well, we got 12,000 square feet. My brother-in-law stepped it off this morning.
How could he do that? Has he got square feet?
I think he measured it with his head, to tell you the truth.
Well, tell me this. Figuring 12,000 square feet there, how much money can we take in on the lot?
Well, let me see here. I'll figure it out. I'll do it by the hour and see how much we can make.
Yeah.
Now, let me see. 12,000 square feet times 60.
Times 60?
Yeah, on account of 60 minutes in the hour.
Oh, yeah.
Now, we divide that figure by 2 bits, crack that up into digits, and subtract that from the sum of the revisor.
What'd it come to?
And on an average day, we can clean up almost 618 square hours out there.
Yeah, well, 618 square hours sounds pretty good, all right. Too bad the answer didn't come out in dollars.
Yeah, but the income of 618 square hours ain't bad.
No, special for a new business.
Oh, yeah. Now, the next thing we ought to do is to think up the printing that goes on the back of the parking check.
Yeah.
You know that stuff that's so small that can't nobody read it. We got to get some of that on there.
Oh, yeah, all that stuff about we ain't responsible for nothing under no circumstances and stuff. That, huh?
Yeah, we'll print on them tickets in big letters. We is completely irresponsible. That's what Well, things is going great, Joe, on the new parking lot, boy. We got started off good, Joe. Yeah, we got 16 cars on the parking lot already.
Yeah, and we only been in business 2 square hours, too.
Yeah, say, wait a minute, Anna. Here come another car. Brand new. Nice-looking sedan. Yes, ma'am. Here's your parking ticket, lady.
Will you please be very careful with this car? Because we just got it this week, and you know there's a shortage of cars.
Oh, yeah. This is the super careful parking lot, you know. My assistant here will really drive a car careful. Get him over here. Miss Rickenbacker. Miss Rickenbacker, park the lady's car. Be very careful, brand new.
Oh, thank you so much.
Parking one car, coming up.
Here's your 25 cents. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Hey, this is a nice-looking car, all right, Kingfish. Wish I had it.
Yeah, well, start it up, Andy, and back it over there in space number 7.
Okay. There's the car already in number 7.
Andy, then put it in number 9.
Okay. There's the car at number 9, too.
Brother Andy, back it into that empty space between them 2 cars right there, will you?
Yeah, okay. Is everything clear?
Wait a minute. Hold it, Andy. Hold it there. Now, the way you aiming that, how is you going to get that in that open space?
I'm going to bank it off that Chevrolet.
See there? It didn't bank. Wait a minute, Andy. You ain't got to park it. Here come the lady back. She's going to take it.
Well, I'm back. The store was too crowded. Now, say, what in the world have you done to my rear fender?
Well, now, don't blame us. We ain't responsible. Go get yourself a magnifying glass and read the back of that ticket there. Go on.
Well, I'll never come in this parking lot again. Now I'll have to go to the fender shop and get my fenders all straightened out.
And, that gives me an idea. We ought to open up a fender shop right here on the lot, you know?
Yeah, ain't no sense in losing that business.
You know, we ought to charge more for parking. Let's raise our prices around here. Let's get as much as we can get around here.
Yeah. Say, Kingfish, I'm going down to the corner and get something to eat. I'll be back in about an hour. So long.
So long, Anna. Now, let me see here how much we done took in here today. Well, ain't no use to monkey with that, though, because Andy knows what we done took in. Uh-oh, here come my goofy brother-in-law.
Well, hello there, brother-in-law, dear.
Yeah, well, hello there, Goofy.
Well, bless my soul. This morning there wasn't nothing on this lot when I cleaned it up. Now just look at the automobiles.
Yeah, doing great business here, too. Say, by the way, I want you to run home and, no, I tell you what, instead of you going and get me something, let me go down the corner and get a bite myself. I'll be gone about 20, 30 minutes. You stay here. Now, will you do that for me?
Yeah.
And if any customers come in here, we got a new rule. Charge them as much as you can get.
Okay, brother, but hurry back, because I want to go down to the freight yards and see a buddy of mine that just got in town.
Well, Leroy, I wasn't gone long, was I?
No, you wasn't, Kingfish.
Is Andy Brown got back yet?
No, I ain't seen him.
How was business while I was gone?
Oh, I think I done very good. Here's the money right here, $600.
$600?
Yeah, I sold that Ford convertible that was sitting right out front there. Certainly got a nice lot here. See you later, Kingfish.
Holy smokes, he sold the car off my parking lot. Well, I know it sooner or later I was going to have to blow my brains out. I guess that's...
Good evening. This is your Rexall family druggist speaking to you for the 10,000 independent druggists who have made the word Rexall part of our own store names. We've done that because we recommend and sell the 2,000 or more drug products made by the Rexall Drug Company. Rexall aspirin is a good example. Here's the aspirin tablet that, when swallowed with water, is ready to work for you even before it reaches your stomach. Yes, there's no faster-acting aspirin made. Ask for Rexall aspirin, because you can depend on any drug product that bears the name Rexall.
I got to have your legal advice right away.
Well, now, Kingfish, I don't know what the case is, but I'll take it.
All right, now, Calhoun, look here. I only got a minute because I got to get back to the parking lot. This is the worst mess I ever been in.
Well, go ahead, Kingfish. What is it?
Well, now, here's my problem. My brother-in-law was watching my parking lot for me, and he sold one of the automobiles for $600.
That ain't no problem. Just pay him 5% commission.
But don't you see, the car didn't belong to me. It wasn't my car.
Oh, well, in that case, you can afford to pay him 10%.
Don't you understand at all?
Well, now, maybe you better explain it to me again. Sometimes it helps if I know what my client is talking about.
Today, my brother-in-law watched my parking lot for me, and while I was gone, he sold the car for $600.
Well, how much did you expect to get for it?
Well, I didn't expect to get nothing for it.
Well, how come you ain't satisfied with the $600?
It ain't a question of being satisfied. The thing is, I don't deal in automobiles. I got a parking lot there.
Oh, your place is just a parking lot.
Yeah.
Now, we're getting somewhere. It's a lucky thing for you come here for my legal advice. Kingfish, I'm going to tell you something that you ought to know.
What's that?
You had done sold a car that don't belong to you.
Yeah, well, I just got through saying that, you know. But what I want to know is, what is I going to do now?
I don't know, but we got to find a loophole for you somewhere. Look, Kingfish, is you in this parking lot thing all by yourself?
No, and there's my partner, you see.
Well, there's your loophole right there. Look at Kingfish, I tell you what you do. You sell Andy the parking lot and date the contract as of yesterday.
Yeah, stick Andy with the whole mess.
Yeah.
But there's just one thing, Calhoun. My conscience kind of panged me a little here. You think that is the right thing to do?
Well, all I can say is that you should follow the old French proverb pertaining to commercial ethics. Qui mal à la terre, qui mal à la pendu.
What does that mean?
When in doubt, give your partner the business.
Say, Kingfish, where's you been? When I got back here, there was nobody at the parking lot.
Well, then I just run down to my doctor's, boy, for a quick checkup, and he give me the bad news. I was afraid I have to go and give up the parking lot business, Andy.
Give it up? What's the matter with you?
Well, according to my doctor, I can't stand the exhaust fumes. I've been breathing too much carbon peroxide, Andy.
What is that?
Well, I was allergic to the carbon peroxide, you see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went over there to the doctor, and he gave me the allergic test. I took off my shirt, and he scratched my arm here with the exhaust pipe and swole all up on me.
Say, you sound like you was in bad shape.
Oh, yeah, I is, Anna. The doctor said that on top of everything else, I need a dry climate. He gave me my choice. I can either go to Arizona or sleep with my head in the oven. That's what he said.
You sure was in a mess, all right. Well, tell me this. What you gonna do about it, King?
There's only one thing I can do before I wheezes myself to death here. I just got to take a finance licking and sell out to you, boy.
Well, wait a minute here. I don't know whether I want the whole business.
Well, no rush about it, Andy. Take your time and think it over.
Yeah.
Well, now that you think it over, it's a deal, Andy. Now, here. Brother Andy, here's your $600. You're making a smart move, boy.
Hey, why is you giving me $600?
Why?
Yeah.
Of course, you got it coming to you. After figuring everything very close, I find out that the business is worth $1,200. And as long as you was buying me out, you was entitled to my share of it, see there?
You mean that you was really giving me $600 here?
What can I do about it, Andy? You got me over a barrel. Oh, I know when I was outsmarted. I know when I licked, boy.
Wait a minute here. What I can't figure out, Kingfish, is where you got this $600 that you just handed me.
Well?
Yeah.
I borrowed it on my unemployment insurance.
I didn't know they let you borrow on that.
Oh, it ain't easy, you know. Oh, you got to prove to them that you ain't worked for a long time in the past and ain't got no intentions of working in the future. Otherwise, they'll class you as a bum. They won't lend you nothing, you know.
Well, if you want to give me this $600 to buy my share, I certainly ain't going to argue with you.
Well, you're doing a smart thing, all right.
Now, if you'll just sign the contract here to draw it up, that'll close the whole deal.
Yeah, well, read me the contract.
It's just a simple little ironclad, no loophole contract that I whipped up to make it legal, you know.
Yeah.
Say here, I, Andrew H. Brown, hereby purchase the parking lot share of George Stevens. In this contract, Andrew Brown will hereafter be mentioned as the buyer, and George Kingfish Stevens will not be mentioned at all. Then I go on to say here, and it will be immediately forgot that the Kingfish was ever in the whole business. This contract...
Hold it. Wait a minute.
What's the matter here?
The clause in that contract just whizzed by me there.
Yeah, well, this is the newest form of contract. Some of the clauses is a little faster than others, you know. It's the latest 1951 fast-moving contract.
Yeah, well, slow the thing down, because I was listening with a 1926 brain.
Well, it's all legitimate, Andy. The contract go on to say that you was the sole owner of the lot as of yesterday.
As of yesterday? Wait a minute, I bind the lot today.
I know, but look here, in the contract, you see, the contract won't go into effect till tomorrow. And tomorrow it will say as of yesterday. And that'll mean today. See what I mean there? The thing reverberates. That's what it do there.
Today is yesterday, and tomorrow is, I guess it'll come out all right.
Oh,
okay, I'll sign it.
Oh, great, Andy. Right. Put it right there on the dotted line. Right there. That's it.
There you are.
Congratulations, Andy, on becoming the sole owner of the parking lot as of yesterday.
Oh, thanks, Kingfish. Maybe I can go in another business with you again sometime.
Maybe, but who knows what you'll feel like doing 10 years from now, Andy.
Yes, Amos, I own this parking lot all by myself. And the Kingfish give me $600 to boot when they got out of the deal.
Yeah, well, Andy, that's good, all right. I'm really happy for you, boy. Looked like you blew yourself to a new wardrobe there, too, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's quite an overcoat you got there. That's the first polo coat I ever seen with 2 belts in the back.
You know, I still can't understand why the Kingfish give me the parking lot with $600 besides.
Hey, buddy, what goes here? I got a parking lot ticket here for a Ford convertible, and it's missing from the lot.
Sure it ain't on here, huh?
No, it ain't. It's gone.
Gone? Well, Mr.
Oh, I know, mister. That's the car that we sent over to have washed with our compliments. It'll be back in just a little while.
Well, all right. But listen, buddy, I got a few other things to do. I'll be back here in 3 hours, and you better have that car here or there'll be trouble.
Say, Amos, what is you telling the man about washing his car? We don't wash no cars.
Andy, don't you see through this whole thing? That man's car is missing. That's the reason that Kingfish give you $600 and snuck out of the deal all of a sudden.
Yeah, that's right. He trying to leave me holding the bag for that missing car. I'm going over and see that Kingfish.
What are you going to do, Andy?
Amos, I'm going over there and hit him so hard he's going to think that today is yesterday and that tomorrow will never come.
And now here's your Rexall family druggist.
The sensible way to prevent some of the misery that usually accompanies a simple sore throat due to colds is to use an antiseptic gargle.
Any particular one?
You bet, ma'am. I recommend Rexall MI31.
MI31?
Rexall's famous amber-colored antiseptic. You see, full-strength MI31 kills contacted germs almost instantly. And that's why gargling with it several times a day can be so helpful in relieving simple sore throats due to colds. Besides, MI31 is a splendid, tangy mouthwash and a dependable, refreshing breath deodorant.
Say, I must remember that name. MI31.
And remember this, too. You can depend on any drug product that bears the name Rexall.
Oh, me, here come Andy down the hall. He got that same look on his face as he had the day I lost my 2 front teeth. Oh, what'll I do?
Kingfish, I'm going to give you exactly 1 minute to tell me about that $600 and that missing automobile off that parking lot, or I'm going to start punching.
Well, now, Andy, hold on. Now, wait a minute. Unclench your fist there, boy. Now, wait a minute. I'm going to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
Now, don't hit me. Look here. I had that crazy brother-in-law of mine to watch the parking lot for me. Now, he thought that it was a used car lot, and he done sold the car. But, Andy, even though you was the sole owner of the lot, I gonna stand by you, and in the time of need, boy, I gonna help you. I gonna stick with you.
Oh, well, that's nice of you, Kingfish. What we gonna do?
Well, now, look here. I got the man's name that bought the car. We'll go over and give him his $600 back.
Wait, there's only one trouble with that. I done spent $100 on clothes and stuff.
Oh, me. Well, the man ain't gonna sell us back the car for no $500. We gotta find some place where we can borrow $100.
Yeah, that's the thing. We can...
Well, Shorty the barber, what you doing busting in here like that?
Listen, I gotta have your advice. Do you think I ought to, is it your opinion that, do you think the situation, you got any idea? Well, just don't sit there, speak up.
Well, Shorty, I think that
I will not.
Listen, Shorty, we ain't got no time for your trouble. We is in a mess. We got to find some way to raise $100.
Well, fellas, I'll tell you, there's a loan company right around the corner on Lenox. They might lend you the money. It's the Helping Hand Loan Company.
Yeah, that's the idea, Kingfish. We might try them.
Yeah, let's go. Come on.
Wait a minute. Now that your problem is solved, maybe you can give me some advice. I'm in big trouble with a customer of mine over at the barber shop.
You is, huh?
Yeah. I give this customer one of my best haircuts. I spend a whole hour doing the job. One of the most beautiful crew haircuts I ever seen. Every hair was standing up 1 inch long, perfectly even.
Well, how was you in trouble?
Well, he was dissatisfied with the fella didn't like to wear. He complained about the customer was a woman.
How do you do, sir? My name is George Stevens. This is Mr. Brown.
How do you do?
Yes, this is the Helping Hand Loan Company, ain't it?
Oh, yes, it is. May I give you a helping hand?
Yes, sir. What I want to do, mister, is to borrow $100.
Yes. Now, Mr. Stevens, your references?
There he is, right there, Mr. Brown. I carry him with me. He's my personal reference.
No, he's okay. Give him 100.
Just a minute.
By the way, your rates here, they is cheap rates, ain't they?
Oh, very cheap. We charge practically nothing. We merely try to eke out a living.
Yes, well, that's good. How big is the eke?
First, your name and address. So if you'll just fill out this card.
Yes, give me the thing.
Here you are. That'll be 15 cents.
15 cents for the card.
Yes, that's to cover the cost of printing them. We use so many cards here. Our printing bill is fantastic.
Okay. Here the 15 cents. Can I borrow your pen, please?
Certainly.
Thank you.
There's a 10-cent service charge for the pen.
Yes, I got a dime ready here. Do the ink go with it?
The ink is compliments of the company.
Oh, yeah. I read it right down there. The name. All right, sir. There you is. Name and address. The ink is still wet.
Well, I have a blotter.
No, I can't afford that, no. Just let me blow on it there.
Give him the $100, mister.
Well, now, Mr. Brown, do you feel qualified to be a reference for Mr. Stevens?
Oh, yes, sir. You ain't talking to no bum, you know. Look here. There's $500 right there. See it? I is loaded, boy.
Well, now, you think he's worth $100 security, don't you?
Oh, sure.
Well, suppose you put up $100, just as security, mind you.
All right, sir, I'll do that. There you is. There's 100.
Now, I'll take this 100 and give it to Mr. Stevens. There you are, Mr. Stevens, $100. And you come in and make your regular weekly payments.
That's very good. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. See you later, mister.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Brother Andy, boy, here's the $100. Now we're all set to buy back the automobile for $600. We didn't have no trouble in there, did we?
You know, Kingfish, when I was doing this high finance with these fellas, I always gets a little dizzy in the head. Did we come out all right in there?
Oh, sure. You see, the $100 you put up was just security. But I borrowed $100 as a loan. And I is give you the 100. Let's go over in the corner somewhere and count our money.
Well, Kingfish, like I told you over the telephone, I raised the money, paid the man off for the car we sold, and that mess is over.
Brother Andy, that's why I brung this contract over to you to sign, giving me back the parking lot. Now, you are such a good friend, I don't want to see you get in trouble like this, cause them things are serious, you know.
No.
Now, I was taking this parking lot back off your hands, cause I love you, Andy. Now, here, sign the contract.
Okay, I'll sign it. There he is. Now the parking lot is all yours.
Oh, thanks, Andy. Now, by the way, where did you ever get the money to add to the $500 to pay the man for the Ford?
Well, while I went out to lunch a while ago, I had that stupid brother-in-law of yours watch the lot for me, and he sold a Cadillac for $100.
And now, once more, here's your Rexall family druggist.
Be on the lookout for Rexall's big anniversary sale ad in the current issues of Life, Look, Collier's, the Saturday Evening Post, and Country Gentleman. This full-page ad features 36 deep-cut specials available all during February at Rexall drugstores everywhere, plus 32 additional values, including distinctively gift-boxed candies for Valentine's Day. See Rexall's full-page anniversary sale ad now in the current issues of Look, Life, Collier's, the Saturday Evening Post, and Country Gentleman.
And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, to visit your friendly Rexall druggist. Good night.
See you next Sunday.
For the woman in 10 with sensitive skin,
There's Carinome hand cream.
one woman in every 10 has an extra sensitive, extra tender skin. And for that woman,
There's Carinome hand cream. Like all of Carinome's specially designed beauty aids, it's hypoallergenic. Pure, mild, safe for most sensitive skins. It softens, beautifies, protects.
for the woman in 10 with sensitive skin,
There's Carinome hand cream.
at Rexall drugstores everywhere.
Be sure to be with us next Sunday at the same time when your Rexall druggists will again present the Amos and Andy Show. The Amos and Andy Show is written by Joe Connolly, Bob Mosier, and Bob Ross.
Transcribed, this is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Program which follows immediately over most of the...
We gotta wonder which character's the Looney Tune here, really. We really do. Amos and Andy, 73 years ago, February 4th, 1951, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on this Sunday. As we roll on here, we're going to have an episode of the Bob Hope Show, Just the Facts, ma'am. We're going to have Jack Webb in along with Bob Hope, so, you know, that's going to kind of be strange.
Maybe you're about to hit the jackpot. Maybe you're on the point of inheriting $500,000 or finding oil. Chances are, though, that none of these lovely things will happen. Chances are, if you want a bonanza in the future, you'll have to save it up. Now, there are a number of ways to do that. Some people stuff their mattresses, stash their cash behind a loose brick in the fireplace, or slip it under a floorboard. None of these methods make sense because money so stored isn't making a cent for you. Not only that, it may get lost or stolen. Wouldn't you rather your savings made more money for you? Wouldn't you rather have them theft-proof, loss-proof in every way? Of course you would. And you can the United States Savings Bond way. Through the payroll savings plan where you work or the bond-a-month plan where you bank. $3 will get you $4 on maturity every time. Nicest thing of all, it's literally impossible to lose your money. If baby shreds your bonds into confetti and drops them out the window, you can recover your cash plus interest in United States Savings Bonds.
Tomorrow's Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox will be all about crime on Monday with Casey Crime Photographer, The Adventures of Philip Marlowe, Calling All Cars, The Whistler, Gangbusters, and yours truly, Johnny Dollar. That'll all be coming up mañana. That means tomorrow. All right, now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, 71 years ago today, February 4th, 1953, Jack Webb is the guest star on The Bob Hope Show.
Jello
Jello presents The Bob Hope Show, transcribed direct from Hollywood with Les Brown and his band of renown. For Jello, yours truly, Bill Goodwin. Our singing star, Margaret Whiting. Our special guest, Jack Webb. And here he is, Bob Hope.
Thank you very, very much. Well, here I am still going steady with Jello. I don't know what it is, but there's something about my personality that sells those 6 delicious flavors, especially lemon. I'm very happy to be here tonight. I've been keeping my fingers crossed all week with this flu that's going around. It's really an epidemic, you know. In fact, there's so much flu in show business that Phil Spitolny is advertising Evelyn and her magic thermometer. One doctor had so many cases of flu, he rented a helicopter and sprayed Pasadena with penicillin. And Jane Russell's got a slight cold. Doctors came from as far away as Alaska for the examination. I was right there with my stethoscope. I was hoping for a quarantine. And, you know, everyone thought Marie Wilson had the flu because she bought a couple of handkerchiefs with her to the studio. But it turned out they were her costume. She gets the flu now, she's really in trouble. And those cold germs are everywhere. On the Lawrence Welk show, that bubbling music is now done with Alka-Seltzer. I tuned in and heard Crosby singing the other night. I'm sure he's sick. And people are staying home on account of this epidemic. There's so few cars in the streets, it disrupted traffic on Sunset Boulevard. To have an accident now, you have to make an appointment. And I hear that Phil Harris is flat on his back. Of course, with Phil, that doesn't necessarily mean anything. It could just be hardening of the old Forester. Phil Harris really does have an ailment, you know. He has termites. He got them from breathing in too much sawdust. I got the sniffles and rushed to Hollywood Hospital last night, and I must have gotten in the wrong entrance. At 3 a.m, a nurse woke me up and said, "Congratulations, it's a 7-pound boy." But there's one sure remedy for flu. You drink a glass of hot lemon juice while breathing into a paper bag with a belladonna plaster on your back, and at the same time you inhale menthol in your nose while you keep your feet in a hot mustard bath. On second thought, it's easier just to go. My doctor told me to be very careful during this outbreak. He said to avoid everything that might pass germs from one person to another, even money. So I took his advice. I went out to Santa Anita. Going to Santa Anita is rough. It takes so much out of me. Santa Anita is sort of a garbage disposal, but with money. Santa Anita's in a beautiful setting. Mountains on one side, hock shops on the other. I haven't seen so much money go down the drain since Crosby luxed out his money belt. And there was really a big crowd out there. Santa Anita hasn't been affected much by inflation. They still have a lot of $2 windows, only now they're in the Coca-Cola machines. I have a system of betting, and I've never had to walk home yet, for one very good reason. There's no window where you can bet your car. I finally got a horse that could win a race. They let him run all by himself. And on the last race, I bet every cent I had. And my horse would have won, but he had a cautious streak in him. He followed along behind the other horses yelling, "This is just reckless, fellas, going so fast in all this smog." Don McNeil. Say, Bill.
Yes, Bob.
Bill, what's that string tied around your finger for?
String? What string? Oh, you mean this one here? That's to remind me to ask the folks in the audience a question.
Oh, what's the question?
I've forgotten.
Would it have anything to do with Jell-O?
Who cares about Jell-O?
Well, who cares about getting their paycheck this week?
Who cares about Jell-O?
Yeah.
Everybody cares about Jell-O, Bob, and I'll tell you something that folks like extra special. And that's those wonderful Jell-O salads. Which reminds me of my question.
And that is? Folks, have you served a Jell-O salad recently? Now we're moving.
Have you served a Jell-O salad lately? If you haven't, your family is missing out on a real meal snapper-upper.
Real meal snapper-upper?
Yeah.
Bill, what kind of language is that? What you mean is that the crisp, refreshing flavor of a shimmering Jell-O salad is just the thing to add that piquant, delicate touch that transforms a run-of-the-mill dinner into a gourmet's delight.
Yeah, like I said, a real meal snapper-upper. Yeah. And folks, a Jell-O salad helps you avoid that last-minute rush at mealtime. Make it in the morning, set it in the refrigerator, and forget about it. And then when dinner time rolls around, there's no fuss or bother required. All you have to do is set that cool, colorful Jell-O salad on the table and let the family do the rest.
Yeah, and gals, you'd better get your own share early, because take my word for it, once the kids get at that Jell-O salad, man, it goes.
Well, they eat it all, huh?
And Bill, my kids even eat the shimmer.
Well, take the hint, gals. Make a Jell-O salad for your family tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, the next voice you'll hear will be that of Jack Webb, star of Chesterfield's great radio and television series Dragnet. Tonight, in his role as Sergeant Joe Friday, he will take us step by step through the investigation of a criminal case.
It was Monday, January 20th. It was cool in Los Angeles, topcoat weather. I was working the day watch out of homicide. My name's Friday. The boss, Captain Kresnik, told me to expect a new partner. I don't know too much about this officer. He's just been transferred to the detective division. Supposed to be a hot shot. Now, we'll see. 9:40 a.m. The door opened.
Anyone for criminals?
Who are you?
I'm Officer Hope. Captain Kresnik told me to report here. Are you Sergeant Friday?
That's right.
Well, we're detectives. Let's catch a crook. I got my badge, my blackjack, my handcuffs, my gun, and a bus ticket to San Diego.
Bus ticket to San Diego?
Yeah, in case of trouble, I'll go there till it blows over.
All right, sit down, Hope. Let's get acquainted.
Okay.
You know something? You look a lot like Bob Hope.
I can't help it. I was in an accident.
Now, it's a pretty fair patch-up job. Hope, where you been working in the department?
I was in uniform in the traffic detail.
That's so?
I was pretty good at it, too. I handed out 3,000 parking tickets a day.
3,000 a day? How could you do that?
I put the tickets on the cars before they left the factory.
Well, it sounds like you enjoy your work.
Yeah, I love being in the force. I've always been a cop.
Always?
Sure. The day I was born, the doctor slapped me, and I arrested him for assault and battery.
Well, now you're in the detective division.
Yeah, and I figure I ought to do pretty good. I can smell a crime a mile away.
Yeah, well, you sure got the equipment.
Thank you.
Hope, you might as well start learning about your new assignment.
Okay, Sergeant.
Now, in the police department, they refer to the detective division as the brains.
The brains, huh?
Yeah. How come you got transferred?
Well, it was kind of a reward. You see, I caught that bank bandit, Grandma.
No kidding. How'd you swing that?
Well, I found out she was hanging around a certain bar, so I went in there and slipped a Mickey in her Lydia Pinkham's.
Nice work.
It was a real struggle taking her in. I got hurt.
You did, huh?
Yeah, I backed into one of her knitting needles. When I was questioning her, I had the feeling she kind of went for me.
Yeah, you'd make a lovely couple.
Oh, I'm all through with romance.
What's the matter, no girlfriend?
I had a girl, went steady with her. For 3 years, we were never out of each other's sight.
In love?
No, I lost the keys to the handcuffs. Look, Friday, what are we sitting around here for? Let's get on a case. Let's go somewhere and snoop.
All right, take it easy. You'll get your chance.
I'm ready to. I've been practicing my jujitsu.
Pretty good at it, huh?
Good, I'm perfect. I even invented a jujitsu hold of my own. It's unbeatable. No matter what you try to do to me, I can throw you over my head right into that corner. Go ahead, make a pass at me. I'll show you.
Okay, here I come.
Well, don't just stand there. Pick me up.
Now, you listen, Hope. I don't mind you being a beaver, but there are a couple of things... I'll get it. Homicide Friday. Yeah. Yeah. How long ago? Yeah. Okay, got it.
What is it?
Guy just been found dead. 16 Conway Street. Looks like murder. Let's go. 10:16 a.m. Hope and I got a car out of the police garage and headed for Hollywood. 10:42, we arrived at 16 Conway Street. It was one of those white stucco apartment hotels. We parked the car, and on the way in, I got all the available facts from the patrolman on duty at the door. The murdered man's name was Barney Dean. He was a theater... He was a theater manager, lived alone. Seemed to be a respectable citizen. Or was a respectable citizen. One of the tenants in the building had discovered the body and called the police. 11 a.m. Hope and I entered the murdered man's apartment. The coroner was there, just getting ready to leave. Hi, Doc.
Hello, Sergeant. That's the body right there. Who's this with you?
Oh, that's my partner, Detective Hope. New man, first case.
Hello, son. First case, huh? Ever see a real stiff stretched out before?
Yes, New Year's Eve.
Who was it? Who was it?
Me.
Say, Doc, any idea of the cause of death?
Well, he was struck from behind with a blunt instrument, causing the collapse of the posterior section of the cranial cavity, cutting the vascular system and splintering the medulla oblongata.
I'd like to see the Blue Cross plan fix that.
Well, I gotta be on my way. Good luck with your first case, son.
Thanks, Doc.
And if you're ever down at the morgue, be sure and drop in.
Okay, and if you're not there, I'll lie down and wait for you.
So long, Friday.
Man, I wouldn't have his job for anything, fooling around with stiffs at the morgue all day.
Yeah, same thing when he gets home. He lives in Pasadena.
Hey, Friday, I got a feeling about this case. I think that guy laying there on the floor was leading a double life. Respectable theater manager half the time, hoodlum the other half.
Are you kidding?
No, you can never tell. Just last week, the FBI picked up an innocent-looking guy who had a terrific racket.
What was he doing?
Smuggling Democrats into Washington. Sorry, Friday, sorry. Sometimes my sense of humor almost gets away from me.
Yeah, well, you can't blame it for trying. All right, we got work to do here, Hope. Grab this tape measure and take some measurements. I'll write them down.
Right. Here we go. Distance from body to floor, 11 feet.
11 feet.
Distance to window, 39 inches.
Right.
Neck, 13 inches. Waist, 26 inches. Hips, 33 inches.
Hope, get away from that wall. Stop measuring that Marilyn Monroe calendar.
Thanks. Another minute and my badge would have melted. See you later, honey.
What's going on here? What's all the excitement?
Who are you?
I'm the landlady, and I... Oh, Mr. Dean, what's happened? Get up off the floor. You'll catch your death of cold.
Look, lady, we're afraid there's been some trouble here. Mr. Dean is dead.
What? Well, don't just stand around. Do something. Call the automobile club.
All right, now calm down, ma'am. We're police officers. We'd just like to ask you a few questions here.
Police officers?
That's right. I'm Sergeant Friday. This is Detective Hope. How do you do?
Oh, I've seen your face before. Have you been in an accident?
Ma'am, there's been a murder.
Poor Mr. Dean.
Oh, you two were friendly.
Oh, yes. We even took dancing lessons together. Now I'll have to call up and cancel.
That's right. It takes two to tango.
Lady, where were you yesterday?
Right here in the building, in my apartment on the ground floor. I watched television all day long. I didn't leave my TV set for a minute.
Why not?
I heard a rumor Lucille Ball might do it again.
Look, lady, how does it happen you weren't here when Mr. Dean's body was discovered?
I was out doing my shopping.
Shopping, eh?
Yes. I bought eggs, butter, milk, bread, and, of course, Jell-O.
All right, what do you mean, of course, Jell-O?
Why, now's the time for Jell-O. It's America's favorite dessert. I always buy it. Jell-O has a delicious, fruity, rich flavor, and it's so easy to prepare. Oh, goodness me, nobody should be without it.
I'm never without it. I sleep with my head between two bowls of Jell-O. I just lie there all night long, quivering.
All right, I'll handle this, Hope.
Okay, Friday.
Now, let's get this straight, ma'am. You say you've been down at the store buying Jell-O.
That's right. Strawberry, raspberry, cherry, orange, lemon, and lime.
How does her alibi sound to you, Hope?
Delicious.
Well, we'll have to check her story. How do we know she was out buying Jell-O this morning?
I'd be a fool not to. After all, Jell-O is such a delicious, delicately flavored dessert, and so colorful. You can make wonderful salads with it, and what's more, Jell-O is economical. You save money when you buy Jell-O.
How about this? A long-playing landlady.
All right, are you taking notes on this, Hope?
Sure, I've got 3 pages full.
All right, let's hear them.
Okay, here's page 1. Remind Dolores that now is the time for Jell-O. Page 2. Try Jell-O salad for Saturday lunch. Page 3. Get new combination lock for the Jell-O cupboard.
A new combination lock?
Yeah, the other night I found one of the kids standing by the Jell-O cupboard sandpapering his fingertips.
Oh, you're some detective. Hope you'll never learn how to catch a crook.
No, but I sure know how to hold a sponsor.
All right, come on now. Let's get on with this investigation. Lady, so far all we have is your word that you were out shopping this morning. That's not good enough. Can you prove that?
Why, sure. I've got the proof right here in the shopping bag.
Now, let's see it.
There.
Yeah, looks like Jell-O to me.
Looks like money to me.
That's all, ma'am. We won't need you anymore.
Thank you. Bye, Mr. Friday.
Bye.
Bye, Mr. Hope.
Goodbye.
Bye, Mr. Dean.
Don't wait for an answer.
That's a nice old character.
Yeah, real cool Grandma Moses.
Well, we got work to do here.
Yeah, let's go downtown and report.
January 25th. 5 days went by. No break at all. Every decent lead washed out. 1 p.m. Captain of Detectives Kresnik sent for us. Hope and I walked down the hall to his office. Now looks like we're stuck.
Yeah.
Tough case.
Yeah.
Develop anything in those runs you made over at the lab?
Not much. I processed the MO of the DOA without getting a make. Then I ran a 184 through the LP file and tried for a COA on the PD.
What does that mean?
I was hoping you knew.
Well, here we are. Let's go in and get it over with.
Come in.
Captain?
Well, Friday, Hope, what about it? 5 days have gone by, you haven't made any progress.
Well, this case is a Lulu. Not one decent lead.
Well, there was some evidence. What about the fingerprints found on the scene?
They turned out to be Officer Hope's, sir.
There were some footprints.
Officer Hope's, too, sir.
And a handkerchief.
Officer Hope's.
Well, what about the pretty blonde girl in the silk wrapper across the hall?
Well, I'm not on duty all the time, you know.
Well, we'll keep trying, Captain. Just give us a few more days. We'll break the case.
We've got to have action. The pressure's on.
Yes, sir?
The mayor's on the commissioner's neck, the commissioner's on the chief's neck, and the chief's on my neck.
If the top man can juggle, it's a wonderful act.
All right, let's go, Hope. In police work, you take the tough with the good. This case was one of the tough ones. But just when it looked bad, we got a break. Through an informant, we learned the murdered man had a girlfriend. She was a singer in a joint over on the east side, the Kit Kat Club. 11:31 p.m. Hope and I got a squad car and headed for the Kit Kat Club. Down through Lower Main Street, the toughest section of L.A.
Not very classy, is it?
Skid Row. Cesspool of the city. Gin mills, hock shops, flea bag hotels. This is the bottom. Nobody lives down here but the cheap crooks, winos, and stumblebums.
Would you mind stopping at that next house?
What for?
I want to see if I got any mail today.
You know, I wouldn't be surprised if you weren't kidding. I can always tell a wino by the way he walks on his heels.
Careful or I'll breathe on you. But I really did live in a tough section like this when I was a kid. I'd be a member of a gang of pickpockets right now, except my mother wouldn't let me join.
Well, you were smart to listen to her.
I had to. She was the boss of the mob. There's the place in the corner, the Kit Kat Club.
Yeah. Now watch your step in here. There may be fireworks.
Don't worry. Us Hopes have a steady eye. My grandfather used to shoot a hole through the ace of spades at 100 yards.
Well, that's pretty good.
It's the best that's ever been done with chewing tobacco.
All right, here's the door. You go first.
You're the sergeant. You go first.
All right, come on. Hey, mister, you the manager of this place?
That's right. What Oh, officers. Step up to the bar. I'll pour you boys a drink.
Oh, no thanks. No thanks. No thanks. Well, just a little one. This will be the first highball ever served in an oil drum.
All right, let's skip the drinks. We're on duty. Kind of a tough joint you're running here, mister.
It's the best around here. Drinks are only a dime. We serve free sandwiches. And every time someone's shot in here, we pay their funeral expenses and $10,000 to the widow.
How can you afford to do that?
We're a subsidiary of General Motors.
Now, look, we want to talk to a girl you got working here. You're a singer.
Hey, Miss Whiting's about to do a number.
All right, we'll sit at one of these tables and wait till she's finished.
If I am fancy-free and love to wander, it's just the gypsy in my soul. There's someone calling me from way out yonder. It's just the gypsy in my soul. I've got to give vent to my emotion. I'm only content having my way. There is no other life of which I'm fonder. It's just the gypsy in my soul. If I'm fancy-free and I love to wander, it's just the gypsy in my soul. There's someone calling me from way out yonder. It's just the gypsy in my soul. No cares, no strings. And I love to wander. It's just the gypsy in my soul. In my soul. It's just the gypsy in my soul.
Oh, Miss Whiting.
Yes.
Liked your song. Can we have a word with you?
That's the trouble with working in a dive like this. You guys are always trying to make a pickup.
No, you got me wrong, ma'am. We're police officers.
Then why is this other guy kissing my shoulder?
You got me right. I'm a wolf.
I'd like to ask you some questions, miss. Mind if we step into your dressing room?
Come on. Will this take long? I'd like to change my clothes.
Go right ahead. Don't mind us.
Sorry to inconvenience you, ma'am. We're investigating a crime.
That's right.
I want to ask you a straight question, and I want a straight answer.
Yeah.
Where were you Thursday night around 11 o'clock?
I was shooting pool with some of the boys.
Not you!
It's none of your business where I was.
How old are you?
22.
22. According to our records, you have a son 19 years old.
I married young.
Glad to know you. I'm from Tennessee, too.
Well, I don't know what this is all about, but I assure you I have nothing to do with it.
Oh, yeah, I wish I could believe that, sister. You got a record as long as my arm. In 1946, you were arrested for rolling a drunk.
With my boyfriend, and he wasn't drunk, he was plastered.
The charge says you were rolling him.
It's the only way I could get him home.
I think we're making a mistake, Sarge. She's just a sweet kid. She can't be mixed up in this.
Are you kidding? 16 stolen cars in the last 5 years, 4 mink coats, 5 diamond wristwatches. Why, this dame will go for anything that's fast and loose.
She will? Stay right here, baby. I'll go home and get my straw hat and send.
Now, you listen, sister. A boyfriend of yours named Barney Dean was knocked off a few nights ago. You still haven't told us where you were last Thursday night.
Why don't you guys wake up? I was singing right here in this club in front of 50 witnesses.
We checked the girl's story. It was true. Another lead gone. We reported back to headquarters. 12:25 a.m. We entered Captain Kresnick's office.
All right, you said you had something. What is it?
I broke the case, Captain.
You did?
Well, we couldn't get it because it's so obvious. Now think back. Everything points to one man. Now, I hate to say this, Captain. The guilty man is one of us. He just joined the force.
Gee, I wonder who that could be.
All right, Hope, you can start talking anytime.
Are you kidding? I had nothing to do with it.
What about it, Hope?
Yes, spill it. Let's have it.
Okay, you got me.
You admit you killed Barney Dean?
What else can I do? I know you've been watching me. Watching, waiting for my nerves to go to pieces. All right. I'll talk. I'm cracking.
Look, please, just crack. Don't come all apart.
Sorry, I didn't mean to be messy.
Hope, how did you know Barney Dean?
Well, he was the manager of the Paramount Theater where our new picture, The Road to Bali, is playing. I have to kill him.
Why?
Because he did a terrible thing.
What?
He did a horrible thing.
Well, what was it?
An awful, unforgivable thing. He deserved to die.
Oh, stop this, Hope. What did he do?
On the marquee of his theater, he put Crosby's name ahead of mine. We'll see you next week, folks. And don't forget, make a point of serving a Jell-O dessert or a Jell-O salad sometime during the next few days, will you? Take it from old Papa Hope. The whole family will love it. And say, folks, if that Jell-O supply of yours is getting low, how about stopping off at your grocer's tomorrow for a new set? And when you do, tell him Bob sent you, will you? Well, that just about winds it up, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank Jack Webb, star of Dragnet, for being with us tonight. And I hope the police departments that were listening in will forgive me for joining them temporarily. It was all in fun. I know we all appreciate the great job those boys do for us. Every man who wears the badge of law risks his life for us every morning when he goes to work. These are the guys who hold the line on the home front, protecting our children, our homes, our communities. They deserve all the support we can give them. Thank you.
Hey, Bob.
Yeah, Bill?
Before we go off the air, I have a presentation to make to you and Maggie Whiting.
What's that, Bill?
Well, this is National Peanut Week. And on behalf, yes, it is. And on behalf of William F. Seals, president of the National Peanut Council, it gives me great pleasure to present you with this scroll and crown you Peanut King.
Something like this happens every time I turn and show my profile.
And now, Maggie.
Yes, Bill.
On behalf of the National Peanut Council, I'm happy to crown you Peanut Queen.
Well, thank you, Bill, and of course I'm very grateful to the peanut growers for this honor.
That goes for me, too. Thanks, and on with the ball. Peanut butter for everybody.
For a quick meal with appetite appeal, just keep upon your shelf. Quick minute rice, so fluffy and nice, it practically makes itself. Minute rice, end your toil, add a little water, bring it to a boil. Good! Minute rice.
It's easy to fix your favorite rice dishes with Minute Rice because it's pre-cooked. There's no washing, no rinsing, no draining, no steaming. Go to your grocer's now and get the large, economical family size of Minute Rice.
Be sure to listen to the Bob Hope Show next week from Hollywood with our special guest, Jane Wyman. Jell-O has brought you the Bob Hope Show, written by Norman Sullivan and Larry Mark, and transcribed direct from Hollywood, California. Jell-O is a registered trademark of General Foods.
71 years ago, February 4th, 1953, The Bob Hope Show. Up next, we go from Ski Nose to The Nose. Jimmy Durante is up next.
America's Protestants, Catholics and Jews, are strengthening the bonds of brotherhood and friendship by helping the needy overseas. Through their houses of worship, these three faiths are sending voluntary relief to virtually every free country in the world. Hundreds of millions of pounds of goods, clothing, and medicine will go to victims of war, disaster, and famine in many parts of the world. More than 80% of American voluntary relief work for the hungry and needy overseas is conducted through the religious agencies of these three major faith groups. When you share with needy persons overseas through your house of worship, you are promoting the spirit of democracy that unites all peoples for peace and goodwill. You are keeping faith with the finest tradition and heritage of America. CBS Radio urges you to keep faith with those in need overseas by giving as much as you can through your faith.
And on this Sunday Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, before we get to crime tomorrow, let's get to the man whose loss was a crime to America. Jimmy Durante, 76 years ago today, February 4th, 1948, and the story of Courtin Corabelle.
Good health to all from Rexall.
Good health to all from Rexall.
From Hollywood, it's the Jimmy Durante Show.
A-dink-a-doo, a-dink-a-dee. Oh, what a tune! Oh. A-dink-a-doo, a-dink-a-doo, a-dink-a-dee.
Yes, 10,000 Rexall drugstores who carry the complete line of top-quality Rexall drug products bring you the Jimmy Durante Show with Peggy Lee, Candy Candido, Roy Bargy and his orchestra, the Crew Chief Quartet, yours truly, Howard Petrie, and our special guest again, Victor Moore. And now, here he is, ladies and gentlemen, the only man ever operated on who needed two beds, one for himself and one for his nose, the one and only Jimmy Durante in person.
Gotta start off each day with a song.
Oh, come on, Mr. Durante.
Even when things go wrong.
Mr. Durante, you promised us.
You feel better, you even look better.
Mr. Durante, we've been following you all day. Now, a promise is a promise. How about it?
Well, what do they want, Jimmy? Your autograph?
No, they can't wait to see my operation since they heard it was hemp-stitched. Sorry, ladies, but the next showing will be Saturday afternoon at the Rexall window.
Oh, gosh, Jimmy, it's amazing the way people are concerned about your health. While you were ill, you got presents from all over the country.
Don't spread this around, Howard, but I even got a present from President Truman's dog.
A gift from President Truman's dog?
Yes, he saw my picture in the paper, fell in love with it, and Truman hasn't got the heart to tell him I'm not a cocker spaniel. So to return to gratuity, I shopped around and finally found just the right gift for the dog. I sent him a flute.
A flute? Well, isn't that a little silly, Jimmy? Whatever gave you the idea that the president's dog could play a flute?
Well, with Harry playing the piano, who's going to know if the pooch is flat? Don't worry, Mr. President. Dewey can't even play the kazoo. But to digress from the script, back to the remarks written on my cuff, let me tell you about Palm Springs, Howard. That Wonder Palms, what a place to recuperate from a convalescence.
Yeah. Oh, I love it down there, too, Schnoz. In the daytime, the hot sun beats down, and at night it's just cool enough so that everybody sleeps under one blanket.
Sounds like a nice way to make friends.
You know, Jim, I read somewhere that the natives of Palm Springs have a longer lifespan than the average American.
You're right, Howard. Why, one fella down there even outlived his ever-sharp pen. But it's wonderful. You get up in the morning, look out the window, and there on the lawn is Greer Garson, Hedy Lamarr, and Lana Turner, all taking a sunbath. So I went right down to the manager and applied immediately for the job of outdoor chef.
Outdoor chef?
Certainly. With all them beautiful girls sunbathing, somebody's got to turn them over when they're well done. I love that kind of carry-ons on. But the strangest experience of my rustic sojourn at the Springs occurred last night. I got through that sentence, all right. I was seated in the patio facing a fish pond and tossing little hunks of gold to the goldfish when the scent of perfume drifted through the air and a sweet voice said,
My name is Hot Breath Houlihan.
This kid could make a fortune warming up orange groves. Miss, I'm afraid we haven't been properly introduced.
Relax, bucket pants.
I'm not a guest. I'm the rumba teacher. But I'm not working tonight.
Why not?
I caught a cold in my hips, and I can't shake it off.
The rumba is okay, but I like dancing with my feet, too.
Well, what do you say, handsome? Let's you and I go for a ride in my car, huh?
Nothing doing. When I go riding with girls, they always give me that story about running out of gas. I'm known as the man who walks.
Well, you're about to lose your title. One kiss from me, and you'll be known as the kid who crawls.
Please, you're hurting my wrist.
How can you stand there like a stone? Is there no ardor in you? No zeal?
I don't know. Maybe those are the parts the doctor cut out.
Kiss me, you beast. There. How do you feel now?
I'd better see my dentist. You just melted one of my inlays.
Wait here, baby, while I go freshen up my makeup. You mind if I use your room?
No, you mustn't. I'll never be able to face you again.
Why?
I was going to do some washing tonight. My undies are soaking in the sink.
Say, you're something of a square. I thought you were a hepgy. I'm leaving.
Wait, that music, it does something to me.
I didn't think anything could do anything to you. You cold-blooded Anglo-Saxon.
Me? You got me wrong, Hot Brett. Listen. When the orchestra strikes up a rumba, out of me you will not hear a gripe. When it comes to a rumba, I dance every number. I'm definitely the Latin type.
Send me, senor.
At a zamba, I'm never a groucho. I know that the rhythm is ripe. How can I be a groucho? I'm Jimmy the Groucho, and definitely the Latin type.
Adore that matador.
It's not work, it's play. I can teach it to you too, brother. See how my hips go one way and my nose goes the other. How romantic to hear those maracas. Why, it's better than any bagpipe. When I hear those maracas, I shout punish knockers. I'm definitely the Latin type.
Babaloo.
Babaloo, loo, babaloo, 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 babaloo. Folks, I got a haircut today, and I promised my Babaloo I'd mention his name.
Hey, top, hey, pop, hey, abaloo.
Hey, Bob, hey, inka, dinka, doo.
Hey, top, hey, pop, hey, do, Valerio, ah.
Chitty beat, chitty, ya, 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 ya. I love that hillbilly music. Miss Hot Brett, when it comes to the rumba, that's my racket. In fact, I just invented a new dance step.
How does it go?
First, I take my right foot and put it on my left side. Then I take my left foot and put it on my right side. Then with my left foot on my right side, my right foot on my left side, I turn around fast.
And what happens?
I'm flat on my back. Of course, you gotta do it in time for the music or it doesn't look good. Yes, my manners are always polite, girl. My technique, the men wanna swipe. Now, don't you fight for my line on my right, girls. I'm definitely...
Yeah, unquestionably.
Yeah, indubitably the Latin type.
If you want to be sure that the product is pure when you ask for a drug preparation, buy the Rexall line at the Rexall sign of Rexall identification.
Did you know that more than 2,000 different drug products carry the name Rexall? That's a big family indeed, and a highly respected one, too. For in millions of American homes, the familiar name Rexall has come to mean the utmost in quality, purity, and reliability. So for any and for all of your drug needs, always buy Rexall. Have confidence in what that name means. Quality, purity, and reliability in drug products. Get them at Rexall drugstores throughout the nation, where 25% of America buys its drug needs.
If you want to be sure that the product is pure when you ask for a drug preparation, buy the Rexall line at the Rexall sign of Rexall identification.
Good health to all from Rexall.
That was our announcer, Mr. Howard Petrie, who was hired by the Rexall Company because of the suburb tones emanating from his laryngeal esophagus. How I got my job, I'll never know. But moving now into matters of more... Come in. Why, it's my old friend, the Commissioner of Rivers and Waterways. Hello, Mr. Ripple.
Well, how do you do?
Would you mind facing San Bedou? They could use that spray on the succotash groves. But tell me, Mr. Ripple, what's on your agenda? And I use the word in ignorance.
Well, Mr. Durante, as you know, the people of Hollywood are suffering from lack of water.
Well, how bad is it?
It's terrible. Ethel Waters is just a trickle. Veronica Lake is only a puddle, and George hasn't enough water to float his raft.
This sounds like a case for Claude Rains. But do you have a message for the people of California?
Yes. You've had no rain in January, and you may not have rain in February and March. So I have only one thing to say.
What's that?
Just wait till April showers come along your body.
You know, you'll have to excuse him, folks. He's not much of an actor, but he can wash your car in 3 minutes. But now to add chaos to the consequences, I shall favor you with my own version of the song, Chloe. Chloe.
Oh, stop.
What's this? Somebody is there in the swamp with my Chloe. Who are you, anyway?
I'm Shoulders. Dick Tracy will never find me here.
Why, it's Victor Moore. Victor, it's good to see you again, beaming with health, wealth, and poise. You really give a lift to the show.
Well, thanks, but you know, I don't think this is a real radio show at all. On most shows, you just give your name and where you're from, and you win prizes.
Well, what about it?
Well, I've been on this show for 6 weeks now. Where's my refrigerator?
But you're not a contestant, Victor. You're a celebrity.
I am?
That's right. Why, when they pass out the Academy Awards next month, you should win every one of them. Your acting has always been très jolie, sachez la femme, bon petite, toujours je ne sais pas. Have I said enough?
Why did you say it that way?
It's cheaper to speak French since they devaluated the franc. Please, writers, no more French till I get my strength back. Please.
Well, do you really think I could win an Academy Award?
You're a logical choice, Victor. After all, what's Gregory Peck got that you haven't got?
Nothing, except Gregory's got it in pecks, mine's in bushels. Besides, Jimmy, I don't know if I'd want the award. If I won it, I'd always be mobbed by autograph hounds.
Autograph hounds?
Yeah, Jimmy, you know, those people that tear the lapel off your coat, jab you in the eye with a pencil, knock you down in the gutter, step on your face and yell, "Look, Mabel, it ain't Hildegard after all."
You're only joshing, Victor. Well, an award is a great thing because the Academy of Motion Pictures really supports Hollywood, but I'd like to mention something else that gives a lot of support.
What is it, Jimmy?
Here it is. My nomination for 1947. The thing in Hollywood that gives the most support is... Esther Williams' bathing suit. Never did so much depend on so little.
Well, as long as you're passing out awards, Jimmy, I think you should make one on your own show. Here comes Peggy Lee. She gets my vote for the best singer of the year.
Why, thank you. But you better be careful saying such nice things to me, Cuddles. Remember, this is leap year.
I'll let the other fellas leap. I'm lucky to be able to squat.
You know, Victor, you should be in every living room. You're a regular woman's home companion. Why don't you sing something nice for Victor, Peggy?
Yeah, Peggy, go ahead and sing. I'll see you later.
Where's he going, Jimmy?
Oh, he'll be back. He likes to go over to the YMCA and smile through the window at the girls.
But the YMCA only has men.
I know, but he's nearsighted, and I haven't got the heart to tell him. Well, Peg, what's new on the musical agenda for tonight?
A new tune, Jim, about the Lone Star State called Lone Star Moon.
Good. I'll go right to the bunkhouse, lay down on my enchilada, and listen.
I'm getting kind of fed up. I long to make my bed up under the Lone Star Moon. I'm getting tired of scrambling. I'd like to do some rambling under the Lone Star Moon. I want to listen to the Killaloo singing, where the big horns flowing by, where heaven too is so close that you can pick your dreams right out of the sky. You'll never know what bliss is until you've tasted kisses under the Lone Star Moon. The one for my affection is out in that direction. I aim to be there soon. I want to listen to the Sunday bells a-ringing, that old familiar tune. My heart will beat like thunder the moment that I'm under the Lone Star Moon. I guess I should be going to my hometown soon, getting kind of lonesome for that Lone Star Moon.
Here's a 60-second story from the Rexall Laboratory.
One of the instruments used daily in the Rexall Control Laboratory is the moisture analyzer. As its name implies, this instrument can analyze or measure moisture to 1,000th of 1%. And why is it so important to measure such tiny quantities of moisture? Well, take cough drops, for instance. Too much moisture, and they stick together. And certain other drug products, such as effervescent salts, must be very dry. Otherwise, they lose their power to bubble and foam when dropped in a glass of water. And that's why they are tested for moisture content before they go to your Rexall store. This is only one example of the care Rexall takes with all its products. But it's one more reason why you can always depend on any product that bears the name Rexall.
So for any and for all of your household drug needs, always buy Rexall. At Rexall drugstores everywhere.
If you want to be sure that the product is pure when you ask for a drug preparation, buy the Rexall line at the Rexall sign of Rexall identification.
Good health to all from Rexall.
Hey, Victor, come over here. Do you remember this tune? I'm a-comin', a Courtin Corabelle.
Oh, yeah.
Got a four-leaf clover stuck in my lapel.
With a horseshoe in my pocket and a rabbit's foot as well.
I'm a-comin', a Courtin Corabelle. Ah, what a song, Victor. It takes me back to the turn of the century, back to the days of the peekaboo blouse.
Well, that's not so far back.
The days of the high-button shoes.
That's not so far back either.
The days of the bustle.
You win. That's really far back.
That's my little butterball boy who said that. Hello, Corabelle.
Why, good evening, Jameson.
I hope I'm not too bold, Corabelle, but I bought you a new record for your phonograph.
Oh, how exciting, Jameson. I'll crank up the phonograph and play it right away.
Miami, might walk a million miles if not one of your smile to my Miami.
My favorite singer, Lillian Russell.
Oh, heavens to Betsy. Somebody's at the door, Jameson.
Hello, Corabelle. I'm Kid Lemon. Give me a squeeze.
Wait a minute.
Victor, you're a gay dog, and this is your night to howl.
Now, another outburst like that, and I'll set fire to his celluloid collar. But, Mr. Moore, what are you doing here? Pray tell another expressions of the period. Corabelle is my girl.
Oh, yeah, Miss Corabelle is my girl. And if you don't leave her alone, why, I'll bust you in the... I'll smash you. I'll hit you.
Oh, Victor, you're so manly.
Look, Corabelle, don't let his words turn your head. I can offer you beauty. Look at my face. No, over here you're looking at the moose head.
Well, Jameson, you do have nice dimples.
I got those from my mother.
And I like your eyes, too.
I got those from my father.
And where did you get that cute nose?
This I sent away to Sayers Roebuck. The picture took up 12 pages in the catalog.
Oh, look, here comes Corabelle's little sister, Candy. Oh, double sassafras.
Watch your language, Mr. Moore. There's a lady present. Well, hello, little Candy.
Hello, Buzzard Beak.
Now, look, little girl, why don't you go away? 25 skidoo.
25 skidoo? You mean 23 skidoo?
I know, but at my age, it takes you longer to skidoo.
What's the matter, little girl? You look like you've been crying.
My papa spanked me this morning. He spanked me and spanked me and spanked me.
Where did he spank you?
Well, I won't say.
But I got no feeling mighty low.
That kid's tonsils must ride a bicycle built for two.
Corabelle, who are these young whippersnappers?
Oh, it's James Durante and Victor Moore, Papa.
Look, sir, we came here to ask for your daughter's hand. Now tell us, which one of us can join her in cannibal bliss?
Cannibal bliss? You mean connubial bliss?
Forgive me, folks. My old trouble's coming back. I can't read.
Well, I don't want Corabelle marrying up with no weakling. It takes a man to do the chores around here. You there, son. Let me feel your muscle.
Okay, just put your hand on my arm.
Wait a minute. I don't feel no muscle.
Just keep your hand there. It'll be along in a minute.
What a nom. It looks like a noodle that was taken away from its mother too soon.
Well, there's only one way to settle this here thing. Down at the county fair, they're offering $1,000 to any man who wrestle with a bear. Whoever comes back with $1,000 wins Corabelle.
I'll not only bring back the $1,000, I'll bring back the bear. Stuffed. Come along, Victor.
Uh-oh, I think I know who he's planning to stuff it with. Well, you know, I'm not afraid of that bear, and I know I'm not afraid of that bear, but that bear wasn't here for rehearsals.
Hurry, hurry, hurry! Right this way to see the bubble dancers! Hurry, hurry, hurry!
Say, before we go wrestle with that bear, couldn't we stop here a minute? It's the greatest show at the fair. 30 bubble dancers.
What's so great about 30 bubble dancers?
Only 29 bubbles.
You're very observant, Mr. Moore. Well, here's the wrestling bear's cage. Go right in there and wrestle him, Victor. You're not afraid of him.
Jimmy, you got me. Help, I'm being crushed by a waltzing bear.
If you think I'm going to cut in, you're crazy. Watch out, Victor. The bear's squeezing the life out of you.
I know, Jimmy, but there's something funny here. The harder this beer squeezes me, the better I like it. Tell me, what kind of a beer are you, anyway?
My name is Hot Breath Houlihan.
Everybody wants to get into the act. Come on, Victor, we'll get Corabelle and paint the town. We'll be a compman, a Courtin Corabelle.
Corabelle, what'll you do? Both of us are after you.
Four-leaf clover stuck in my lapel.
Both of us are wearing clovers. We're a couple of Casanovas.
Horseshoes in my pocket and a rabbit's foot as well.
Yeah.
We're a comin', a Courtin Corabelle.
Gotta keep up our courage, Corabelle.
Can't you see that we're afraid that we'll never make the grade?
Speak up to your pappy for a spell.
We will make you oh so happy if we get the word from Pappy.
Mention your intention of a honeymoon hotel.
Yeah.
We're coming, a Courtin Corabelle.
I'm a lucky girl, but trying to choose between you both is torture.
'Cause if she marries either one, she'll have
A hard time trying to support you.
We're a craving, caressing Corabelle.
Like to hold you both for ransom. How'd you ever get so handsome?
We're counting on some kissing in the dell.
Dinka-dinka-dinka-doo, sugar sweet and so
Let it thunder, let it lightning, let the rain come down pell-mell.
Yeah, we're a
Coming, a Courtin Corabelle.
Good health to all from Rexall. We hope you're feeling fine. So always call for Rexall where you see the Rexall sign.
Remember, 25% of America buys its drug needs in Rexall drugstores. Rexall is that large and respected family of more than 2,000 different drug products. You can always depend on any drug product bearing the name Rexall, available in Rexall drugstores everywhere.
Touche, Howard, and I'd like to add, I do my shopping at a Rexall store, buying Rexall drugs, and furthermore, Umbriago, he prefers them too. We buy Rexall, that's all. How about you? Now who will be with you when we're far away, from you? Who will be with you when we're far away, far away from you? Who's gonna buy you all those pretty things? Who's gonna take you to Woolworths for those rings and rings? Who will be with you when we're far away, far away from? Let me hear that band, hit it. Who will be with you when we're far away, Let me hear that high note, maestro. Hey! What a note! What a note.
Yeah, that's a scintillating note.
I didn't think you'd get through that line, Victor. A scintillating note is right, Victor. Well, Victor, it was nice banning a few quibs and quotes with you this evening. I'm going back to Palm Springs for a couple of days. Will you join me?
I'd love to, Jimmy. I hear it's a great place for taking weight off your hips, if that's where you keep your wallet.
You'll love it, Victor, believe me. One night last week, they threw a big barbecue party in my honor, and as the fires dwindled into glowing embers, everybody chose partners and danced in the sinuous rhythms. I don't know what that means in there, but they make me say it.
Sensuous, Jimmy.
And danced to the... Don't correct me in public, please, Mr. Moore. To the sinuous rhythms of a Mexican guitar.
Dancing in the dark among the sagebrush. How romantic.
Romantic nothing. I danced for 3 hours before I found out my partner was a horse. I should have suspected when she ate the carnation out of my lapel. Good night, Victor.
Good night, Jimmy.
Good night, everybody. And good night, Mrs. Calabash.
Rexall all for tonight, folks. Next week, Victor Moore will be back with us again, and also Peggy Lee, Candy Candido, Roy Bargy and his orchestra, Dave Barry, who played Mr. Ripple, yours truly, Howard Petrie.
And Jimmy Durante, who says, congratulations, Kate Kaiser, on your 10th anniversary with NBC. You're a great guy, believe me. Good night, Mrs. Calabash, wherever you are.
The program is produced and directed by Bill Cohan. Good health to all from Rexall.
By the way, in case it wasn't mentioned, Hot Breath Houlihan you heard during that Jimmy Durante show was a lady by the name of Florence Halop. If that name kind of sounds familiar, you probably remember her as Mrs. Huffnagel on St. Elsewhere and Florence Kleiner on Night Court. We lost her back in 1986, and another sad tale of losing people that make us smile. 76 years ago, February 4th, 1948, Jimmy Durante here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Up next, Robert Young, starring as Jim Anderson in Father Knows Best. That's up next.
We are the vocal parents of the local PTA. We're gathered here because we fear that 10 years from today, the younger generation of a growing population will look to us for leadership, will look at us and say, we have no alma maters, with or without swimming pools. We have no alma maters, because we have no schools.
Our children are growing faster than our schools. And 10 years from today, conditions may become desperate unless we do something about it now. If you'd like to do something constructive about it now, write to Better Schools, 9 East 40th Street, New York 16, New York.
We can have the schools we need 10 years from today.
And now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. First, we remind you tomorrow, Casey Crime Photographer, The Adventures of Philip Marlowe, Calling All Cars, The Whistler, Gangbusters, and yours truly, Johnny Dollar, in a lighthearted, gay episode of Classic Radio Theater for your Monday. But right now, we roll on here with an episode of Father Knows Best, starring Robert Young. This episode goes back 70 years to February 4th, 1954.
Now listen to Father Knows Best, transcribed starring Robert Young as Father. Welcome to Springfield and another half-hour visit with the folks in the White Frame House on Maple Street. Sit back and enjoy life with the Andersons. Kathy, Bud, Betty, Margaret, and Jim, as the head of this typical American household, again sets out to prove that Father knows best. Not too many years ago, an ingenious inventor by the name of Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone. This is an instrument which makes it possible for two people to talk to each other, even though they may be some distance apart. It's done with wires. Now, the telephone turned out to be a pretty popular gadget. In fact, so many people acquired telephones that there just wasn't wire enough to give everyone a private line. So, some people have party lines. In the town of Springfield, the Andersons have just been placed on a party line. And it's creating considerable interest. Like this.
Bud, what are you doing?
Shh, I'm listening. You ought to hear this conversation.
Bud Anderson, put down that telephone.
What's the matter?
You're not supposed to listen to other people's conversations.
Why not? They didn't know I was listening.
Margaret, I'm home.
We're in the den, dear.
Oh, hello, honey.
Hello, dear. How was your day?
Fine. Oh, hello, Bud. What are you doing?
Just standing here.
This has been a real good day, Margaret. Remember Don Sheridan? His wife's the big wheel in the social set.
Yes, I had a note from Mrs. Sheridan today.
Yeah.
Well, I met him today, and he mentioned that his wife wanted you to join some exclusive club that she runs or something.
That's what she said in the note. I couldn't believe it.
Nice people to know. If things go right, I just might get the insurance on that automobile agency of his. A big, fat account.
Well, there's a saying in town, if you're in with the Sheridans, you're in, period. I think I'll call Pauline Chambers and tell her about that note from Mrs. Sheridan. She knows her quite well.
So we went to see them.
Oh, those people are still talking.
What's the matter? Somebody on our line?
Yes. The phone company called this morning and said we'd have to be on a party line temporarily till I get some new equipment or something. I wonder who they are.
Who are you talking about?
I was just wondering who the people are on our line.
Well, it doesn't matter. Maybe it's a good thing to have somebody else on the line. Give us a little rest around here. In fact, the way the kids use this telephone, those people, whoever they are, will be lucky if they get a chance to call the operator. Oh, this chair feels good. This evening paper?
That's it. I'm a little concerned.
About what?
Well, it seems the new people have been on the line every time I picked up the phone today.
Oh, just coincidence.
I hope we don't have any trouble with them.
Did you see this little story here on the first page?
I haven't looked at the paper.
Story about a couple who got married down in Texas the other day.
What's so unusual about a couple getting married in Texas? I imagine it happens every day.
Yeah, but get this. The groom was 90 years old and the bride was 87.
Oh?
They're taking a honeymoon trip to Florida on a tandem bicycle.
Well, that's interesting. What does it prove, dear?
I don't know. I guess it shows that people, as they grow older nowadays, are younger than they used to be.
Yes, I suppose so.
Well, it's true. Look at us, for instance.
I don't want to go to Florida on a bicycle.
Look, what I mean, honey, is that 40 or 50 years ago, people our age considered themselves middle-aged.
What are you leading up to?
Well, kind of an interesting thing happened today. I was downtown and...
Mother, have you seen my red shoes? I can't... Oh, excuse me, Father.
Go ahead, Princess.
No, you were talking and I interrupted. What were you saying?
Oh, I was just telling your mother that sort of an interesting thing happened downtown today. It's one of those things that's kind of hard to explain.
What happened?
Why is it hard to explain?
Well, it's odd. I was in the car driving along, and this other car pulled up and sort of drove alongside of me. I thought at first it was some friend of ours, somebody I knew. Then I looked over to see who it was, and I didn't recognize her.
Her?
A woman?
Yeah, and a quite young and attractive woman. And she kept looking over at me and smiling.
Oh, no.
What do you mean, oh, no?
An attractive girl smiled at your father, Betty. Now, don't spoil it. Let him live a little. After all, it's not impossible.
I didn't say it was impossible. It just seems... I mean... Well, why?
Princess, I didn't ask her why. And I only mentioned it because it seemed kind of interesting and unusual.
She probably thought you were someone she knew. A friend of her father's, maybe.
Possibly. But it seemed so odd. She could see very plainly we weren't more than 10 feet apart.
I can understand it, dear. You're just young-looking and handsome and irresistible.
Oh, now, honey, I didn't say that.
You're being silly, Mother. At father's age.
Now, just a minute. Let's leave my age out of this.
On the other hand, though, it follows.
What follows?
Our psychology prof was saying yesterday how you can always tell when a man has reached middle age. He begins to think young girls are smiling at him.
Why, Betty.
Princess, the only reason I mentioned the incident was because...
Oh, by the way, Mother, I'm having dinner over at Janie Liggett's, if it's all right.
I don't mind if Mrs. Liggett invited you.
Guess I'd better call and tell Janie it's okay. When you go upstairs, will you bring me that book on the nightstand? Is there somebody on our line?
Oh, no, they're not still talking.
They're not talking, but the receiver must be off the hook. I can hear a conversation like in a room.
Well, hang up, Betty. Don't listen.
I wasn't listening. Oh, don't be grumpy, Father, just because I told you what our psychology
That has nothing to do with it.
Hi, Mommy. Hi, Daddy.
Hello,
Hi,
Angel.
kitten.
I was going to stay over at Patty Davis's, but I didn't. I came home.
What happened?
Oh, Patty's father thinks he's so cute. Always dancing around and acting silly. I like my daddy a lot better.
Well, thank goodness I have someone on my side.
Oh, Father, don't be so touchy. I like you a lot better, Daddy.
Thank you, kitten.
You're a nice old daddy.
Now, wait just...
That was the wrong thing to say, Shrimp Boat. You're in trouble now.
Princess, do you mind...
I didn't say anything.
Betty, you'd better come out in the kitchen with me.
Now, kitten,
All
I know
right,
I
but
seem
I don't
old
see
to
why
you,
Father's
but
so sensitive all of a
younger.
sudden.
Well, I'll explain it to you.
All I said was that...
The point is, Betty, that your father has reached the age where he's not really old at all. But he needs to have someone assure him that he isn't.
Yeah. Well, I'm going over to Janie's. We'll probably go to the library. I won't be late.
Call us if you want us to pick you up.
I will.
This family, trying to keep everyone happy. Dear, are you still in the den?
Yes, I'm still here.
Where'd Kathy go?
I don't know. She gave her nice old daddy a pat on his nice old head and disappeared.
Oh, Jim, stop being silly. You know the children say things, they don't mean it, they don't even think.
I don't know. You know the old saying about truth from the mouths of babes.
Oh, fiddle. I wasn't going to say this, but I'm positive that Mr. and Mrs. Sheridan are inviting us into their crowd just because of you.
Oh, undoubtedly. Probably think I'll make a peachy chaperone.
Hey, Dad.
What is it, Bud?
What goes with our phone? I've been trying to get Joe for an hour. There's always somebody on there yakking away.
Oh, dear, who can they be talking to?
Yakety, yakety, yakety.
Well, they can't talk forever. Just wait till they hang up.
I've been waiting.
And I have calls to make. I want to call Pauline and ask her about Mrs. Sheridan. How to approach her and all. I'll admit I'm a little nervous.
Nervous? Why?
Well, I've never met the Sheridans. We want to make a good impression.
Don't worry, we will.
I know she's been around asking questions about us. People have told me.
Now, relax, Margaret. She'll find out soon enough what kind of people we are.
I just got to get hold of Joe.
Why don't you go over there?
No, I told him I'd call him.
What's the matter with you, Bud?
Can't use the phone. Somebody on there gabbing away. They won't quit.
Have you tried the phone here in the breakfast room?
It's the same one as in the den. This is just an extension.
Are they still talking?
I simply can't believe that.
Yeah, they're still at it. Women always talking.
Why don't you tell them to hang up?
No, they wouldn't. You know the whole trouble. They're on the same line we're on.
Let's get them off.
Yeah. How?
I don't know.
Maybe we could scare them off.
How?
Well, what if they thought we were a bunch of gangsters or something, real tough?
Yeah.
Look, I'll put the phone here on the table so they can hear us talking.
Okay.
Well, kid, I guess the old man did all right when he knocked over the bank last night.
Yeah, Pop's a real good burglar.
Hey, they stopped talking. They're listening.
Good.
He said I could go with him on his next job. It isn't going to be much. We're going to hijack a beer truck.
Oh, goody. Then we can have beer.
I got to oil up my gat. Pop says we may have to plug a couple of guys. Hey, it worked. They hung up.
Boy, you're pretty smart, Bud. I wonder who they are.
I don't know. One name it kind of seems like I heard somewhere. Mrs. Sheridan.
Well, we sure fixed her, didn't we?
Boy, we sure did.
Act 2 of Father Knows Best in just a moment. There's wonderful radio entertainment all day long when you keep your dial tuned to this same NBC station. You'll enjoy such fun-packed programs as the Bob Hope Daytime Show, Tommy Bartlett's Welcome Travelers, Jay Stewart with It Pays to Be Married, and a host of others. So be sure to keep your dial set to the NBC Radio Network. You'll hear your favorite daytime dramas on NBC, too. Such perennial favorites as The Road of Life, Pepper Young's Family, The Right to Happiness, Backstage Wife, Stella Dallas, The Woman in My House, and Young Winter Brown. All of these well-liked daytime programs are yours for the listening every weekday, Monday through Friday, on the NBC Radio Network.
Remember what we said about looking into the future? It just can't be done. And with conditions shaping up as they are in the white frame house on Maple Street, maybe it's a good thing. It's bad enough to know what's happened already, what with Bud and Kathy trying to discourage the people on the Andersons' party line. No, we won't even think about what might happen next. Let's just go back to Margaret and Jim in the den, happily unaware of what transpired in the breakfast room a few moments ago.
You know, you're right, dear.
Right about what?
I shouldn't worry about what kind of an impression we'll make on Mrs. Sheridan.
Of course not.
We're a perfectly respectable family.
That's what I told you.
I think I'll call Pauline anyway. Well, wonder of wonders. The people on our line have hung up.
I told you they would. You just have to be patient, that's all.
It's just that I've heard that Mrs. Sheridan is so, well, strict and proper about everything. Hello, Pauline? This is Margaret. Fine. Say, I have some news. I received Pauline, something's just come up. I'll call you back in a few minutes. Bye.
Well, now what?
Jim, I distinctly heard a receiver being picked up. Those people on our line were listening in.
Oh, honey, you're letting your imagination run away with you. Why would anyone want to listen?
I don't know, but I heard them lift the receiver. Jim, there must be some way of finding out who those people are.
There is. Ask them.
Oh, you can't do that.
I don't see why not.
Hey, Mom, you should have heard it.
Heard what?
Kathy and I fixed those people on our line. I bet they won't bother us anymore.
What have you been doing?
We scared them out. They were gabbing away, so I left the phone off the hook, and Kathy and I talked real loud so they could hear us.
Oh, Bud.
After they heard us, I'll bet they'll never use the phone again. They might even leave town.
I don't understand.
It was a slick idea. We pretended like Dad was a gangster.
What?
Sure. Scare him. We said a lot of stuff about how you robbed a bank and you and I were going to hijack a beer truck.
Bud, you didn't.
Well, what's wrong with it? You want him to quit hogging the line, don't you?
Yes, but not...
You should have heard him. Boy, did they hang up the phone quick. They didn't want to take any chances with tough characters like us.
But you shouldn't have done that. We don't know who those people are.
Well, you don't have to worry. They're nobody we know. Somebody named Mrs. Sheridan.
Well, it doesn't make any... Sheridan!
Oh, that does it.
Bud, are you sure?
Well, I heard one woman call the other one Mrs. Sheridan. Why? Is it somebody you know?
Somebody I know. But she's... Oh, this is the end. The absolute end.
Why?
Bud Anderson, you stood right here in this den when I was talking about Mrs. Sheridan.
Maybe that's where I heard the name.
Oh, no. That explains why she was listening in on my conversation. After what she heard before... Oh, what am I going to do, Jim? What am I going to do?
Now, just calm down, honey. Don't do anything.
I didn't know who she was.
Bud, you stood right on that very spot and heard me.
I wasn't listening.
Margaret, please, now be reasonable. You know as well as I do that Mrs. Sheridan, a grown-up, intelligent woman, is not going to be taken in by a couple of kids playing gangsters.
Oh, you're right. She wouldn't. She'd know it was just the children acting silly.
She'd overheard adults talking. That would be different. I'll get it, honey. Hello.
Hello, Jim?
Yes?
This is Mimi.
Mimi who?
You do not know me, Jim, but I know you. For days and days I watch you, and then today you smile at me.
Well, you must have the wrong party.
No, doll, baby. You are the right party. My heart tells me so.
Jim, who is it?
Some girl.
Today, when you drive your car alongside mine, and I smile at you, and you smile at me.
Oh, that.
This is the moment I live for, doll baby.
Well, now, wait, I didn't...
I dream of you every night, ever since I first see you.
Me? I mean, well, how did you...
Jim, hang up. Hang up.
My wife says to hang up.
Doll baby, you have a wife? Oh, no.
Look, I don't know how you found me, but...
I find you if you're at the end of the earth. Oh, today when your eyes looked into mine, I knew you were the one.
But I'm not the one.
Jim, hang up.
I'm sorry, Miss...
Doll baby, promise we'll meet again. Promise.
No, I can't.
Hang up.
Goodbye, Miss...
If it must be, it must be. Goodbye, my love. Goodbye, doll baby. I give you a big kiss. Goodbye.
Jim, what in the world?
How do you like that? That woman I told you about, the one that smiled at me this morning. Must have found the number somehow.
What did she want?
Me, I guess.
Jim, I just know Mrs. Sheridan was listening in on the line. What did the woman say?
Oh, my gosh.
What did she say?
Well, she said she dreamed of me every night. Called me her doll baby.
Oh, well, that's all. I can imagine what sort of people Mrs. Sheridan thinks we are by now. Why didn't you explain to her?
To Mimi?
Oh, that surely wasn't her name. Mimi?
Honey, I didn't have anything to do with this. I can't help it if women track me down.
Oh, Jim. Well, we're finished, that's all. This'll be all over town. You know how people talk.
Now, honey, it's easily explained.
How?
Well, this girl just called me up, that's all. What could I do?
It can't be explained.
But you believe me, don't you, honey? She drove her car alongside mine. Can I help it if she... Well...
You and your fatal fascination.
Well, it's not my fault. I can't help it. I'll get it.
I'd better answer it. If this is Mimi... Hello? Oh. Hello, Mrs. Sheridan. Yes, I received your note. Yes, I'll be at home. Oh, I'd be delighted to see you. All right. Goodbye.
Well?
Mrs. Sheridan. She's coming right over. Why don't we just gather up the children and leave?
Well, what did she say?
She has something to speak to me about, and it's quite important. I know she heard everything. First Bud, now you and Mimi. I can't face her, that's all. I just won't be here.
Now, wait a minute, Margaret. If she wants to jump at conclusions, let her jump. We've done nothing wrong. This whole thing is...
Mother!
We're in here, Betty.
I decided not to go to the library after all, so I... What's the matter?
The roof has just fallen in.
Well, what do you mean?
You'd better start packing your things, Betty. Before this is over, we'll probably have to leave town.
I don't get it.
Well, Princess, it seems your doddering old father has charmed a certain unknown French lady named Mimi right out of her socks.
Oh, Father, you're kidding.
He didn't do it intentionally, that we know. But it's been done. This Mimi called up here, the one who smiled at him in the car this morning.
She didn't.
Yes, she did. How she tracked me down, I'll never understand. But you know how some women are.
Don't look so proud of yourself.
Well, let's face it, honey. It isn't every day a man my age turns out to be quite so devastating.
Oh, fiddle. Well, if you're so devastating, maybe you'd like to explain how all this happened to Mrs. Sheridan.
Sure, I'll explain to her.
No, you won't.
There's a car stopping out in front.
There she is. What am I going to say to her?
I don't think it's important. I'm much more interested in Father and this sudden charm.
Betty, stop it. He's completely unmanageable now. Well,
Here she is. I suppose there's nothing to do but go and face it.
I'll talk to her if you want, honey.
Never mind.
Mrs. Anderson?
Yes.
I'm Mrs. Sheridan.
Won't you come in?
Thank you. You must think it a little odd, my calling you and coming over this way. But there's something I feel we must discuss.
Yes, I think I understand. Won't you come into the living room?
Thank you.
I believe I know why you're here, Mrs. Sheridan.
Yes. I thought you would know. Well, I suppose it isn't necessary to explain that we somehow came to share the same telephone line.
No, it isn't necessary to explain. But please believe me, what you heard, well, I'm terribly embarrassed.
Did you hear everything that I heard?
I either heard it or heard about it. But
How
you
much did Mr. Anderson get when he knocked over the bank?
Mrs.
Must
Sheridan.
be interesting work. Hijacking beer trucks.
Please, you know how children are. You know that was all made up.
Oh, I sort of guessed it was. I have children of my own, you know.
Thank goodness.
But Mrs. Anderson, or may I call you Margaret?
Oh, please do.
Your husband. And I'll admit I listened on the party line. Your husband and Mimi. There's something you should know.
I know all about it, Mrs. Sheridan. Believe me, it's nothing.
That's what you think. There's something about Mimi that you don't know.
Excuse me, Mrs. Sheridan. I'm Mr. Anderson.
Well, doll baby.
It's silly, absolutely silly. I don't know this girl, this Mimi.
She's a perfect stranger.
Oh, no, she isn't.
She isn't?
He knows her very well.
But, who is she?
Your daughter, Betty.
No.
Betty?
You see, after you hung up, Jim, I, who had been listening to the whole thing, talked to Mimi. When she learned who I was, she explained what she had done and why.
Why, that rascal.
So I knew I had to come over here right away because I knew how you must be feeling, Margaret.
Oh, thank you so much.
Oh, it's the funniest thing I've ever heard. Mimi. Oh, well, that's all I wanted to tell you, Margaret. I'll see you at the club meeting. Goodbye, Mr. Anderson. It's been a pleasure meeting you. Doll baby.
It's been a pleasure meeting you, I think.
Oh, by the way, we're getting our private phone lines back tomorrow. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Well, my irresistible charmer.
Where is that girl? Betty? Betty!
Up here, doll baby.
The Andersons will be back in just a moment.
Every weekday evening, you'll enjoy a visit with one of America's most famous couples, Fibber McGee and Molly. Now, every evening, Monday through Friday, the NBC Radio Network brings you an amusing adventure at 79 Wistful Vista with Marion and Jim Jordan portraying their ever-famous roles of Fibber and Molly. You'll chuckle with delight at the wonderful situations in which Fibber becomes embroiled. Yes, it's truly entertaining listening from beginning to end, 5 nights a week, right here on the NBC Radio Network. Make it a date to hear Fibber McGee and Molly every night. You'll be glad you did. And remember to keep abreast of the latest news of the world. Be sure to listen to Morgan Beatty's news reports weekday evenings on NBC Radio.
Well, it's hard to believe, but the Andersons came through the day with no damages, outside of Jim's slightly wounded pride. He's nursing that injury right now as he sits in the living room with Margaret, still trying to explain.
Well, things like that do happen, honey.
Oh, Jim.
All right. I remember Fred Hathaway. Some girl called him up. He didn't know who she was. Turned out he'd given her his seat on a bus 2 years before.
A likely story.
Besides, I'm not the world's ugliest man. Second ugliest, maybe, but not the ugliest.
I know, dear. By the way, where's Betty?
Oh, she went out somewhere. The point I'm trying to make, Margaret, is that it's not impossible that some young lady might find me attractive.
Sure. Probably for me. I'll get it. Hello? Who? Yes, he's here. It's for you, dear.
Me? Who is it?
Some southern girl named Laura says she just hires to talk to you.
Well, what do you know?
When you finish, dear, tell Betty if she's near the grocery to bring home some potatoes.
Join us again next week when we'll be back with Father Knows Best, starring Robert Young as Jim Anderson. Father Knows Best is an NBC Radio Network production in cooperation with Cavalier Enterprises. In our cast were Rhoda Williams as Betty, Gene Vanderpyle, Ted Donaldson, Helen Strome, and Virginia Gregg. Father Knows Best, based on characters created by Ed James, is written by Paul West and Roswell Rogers, directed by Arthur Jacobson, and transcribed in Hollywood. This is Bill Foreman speaking.
Tonight, play Truth or Consequences on the NBC Radio Network.
I always talk about how kids today will never understand the struggle of the phone on the wall and the party line and having to wait and all of that stuff and answering a phone and you had no idea who was on the other end. The day gone by. 70 years ago, February 4th, 1954, Father Knows Best here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. We'll head up New York way and see what's going on in the household of Claudia next.
And you will undoubtedly hear it many more times as the days go by. Now, just in case you're hazy on exactly what it means, let me give you a rough idea. It means that the cost of your clothes and food has gone up to a point where the family budget has become somewhat strained. Well, that's one of those things, and you can't be expected to increase the family income. But there are some things you can do to help. For instance, take better care of your clothes. When you come home from school, change into old clothes before you go out to play. Take care of your health, because doctors and medicines are expensive. Eat well, but don't waste. Take your full share, but eat all you take. Try not to ask Mother and Dad to buy you things you don't actually need. Make the best and the most of what you've got. Try to be more than usually careful of your school equipment, such as paper, pencils, and so forth. Make them last and go as far as you possibly can. Remember that all members of a family must pull together at a time like this. So do your share.
And let's wrap up this Sunday edition of Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox by checking in with Claudia and David. This episode of the Coca-Cola sponsored program was originally broadcast 76 years ago today, February 4th, 1948.
Your Coca-Cola bottler presents Claudia. Claudia, based on the play and novels by Rose Franken. Brought to you, transcribed, Monday through Friday, by your friendly neighbor who bottles Coca-Cola. Relax, and while you're listening, refresh yourself. Have a Coke. And now, Claudia.
Claudia, will you please sit still?
I'm being still, Mama. All I'm doing is straightening out the pictures on the walls.
Why must you?
Because they're crooked.
But why must you this minute?
Because I just noticed. The pictures hanging crooked make me nervous.
Well, you're making me nervous. David distinctly asked me to come over here and keep you quiet. I thought at the time he was asking the impossible. Now I'm sure of it.
Mama, there is nothing the matter with me anymore. As a matter of fact, there never was.
There might have been.
I can't remain in a chair the rest of my life because there might have been something the matter with me that there isn't.
If it weren't that I'm counting on a grandson, I'd let you walk tightrope across Niagara Falls. But with only 5 months left to go, you're going to take care of yourself.
Mama, this is Wednesday. Monday, I had a little dizziness.
You had more than a little dizziness. You had a bad fall. Look at your knees and your elbow and that bump on your forehead. You're just lucky you have a husband whose nerves are as strong as iron, or he'd have given up long ago.
Long ago, we didn't even know each other. My, that really seems long ago.
There you go again, not making sense.
I'm starting to feel that there never was any time before I knew David.
I remember very well. Too well when there was.
I can't even imagine anymore what it would be like without David.
But if this past hour is any example, I don't want to imagine.
Seriously, Mama. Is it going to get more and more like this all the time?
I suppose so. I hope so.
I never knew there would be a man like David. Except he isn't just another person anymore. He's a bigger part of me than I am myself. I could never be without him again, not for one day.
That's the way you should feel, dear. But always with the thought that someday you might be.
I don't want any such thoughts. Why should I? David and I aren't ever going to be apart.
That's what I said once. But things turned out differently.
You know, Mama, till I was married to David, I never even imagined what it was like for you. Now I don't want to.
Let's not have any of your sympathy, Mrs. Norton. You and I, we managed fine. As a matter of fact, you were such a handful, I would have had time for anybody else, not even a cat.
Say, where is Shakespeare? I haven't seen him in hours.
Wherever he is, let him be.
But he might need me. He might have fallen in the bathtub.
If he has, good. It might give him some practical ideas.
But he won't be able to get out. The sides are like ice, and he'll catch cold. Mama, you wouldn't want that to happen.
All right. You're breaking my heart. I'll go and see what that cat's up to.
Thanks.
But if he's sound asleep and nothing's happened to him, I'll never forgive him.
It's David. I'll answer. You don't have to ring again. Here I am. Made it. Almost. Hello, David. How do you suppose I knew it was you? By the ring, of course. Oh, it was a nice tweedy ring. Mama? Oh, Mama's in the bathtub with Shakespeare. No, how would I know what she's doing there? Oh, here's Mama now. Mama, it's David. Where was Shakespeare?
Asleep in the sun on David's bed.
Oh. Hello, David. Yes, darling, I'll be good. When will you be home? In a little while? Oh, that's wonderful. I miss you. I miss you terribly. Say, bring home a half pint of cream. What's that? Yep, I'll hold on.
Doesn't that husband of yours have anything more important to do than talk to you on the phone?
What is more important, Mama? Roger just came in. David had a message for him. I'm holding on while he talks to him.
Roger, don't go away. I'm calling Carrington, and I'd like you to be here.
Fine. How's Claudia?
She's on the phone now. I'm just saying goodbye to her.
Oh, give her my regards.
Hello, darling. Sorry to keep you waiting. Roger sends his love.
That's even better than regards.
Fine. Now take it easy. Try and act like the kind of person you aren't. Yeah. Give my love to Bluff and hello to Shakespeare. Bye.
You never run out of conversation, you two.
With Claudia, all I run out of is breath. Lottie, please get Carrington on the phone.
It's a good sign when two people have so much to say to each other. My wife and I, we used to stare at each other from down a long dinner table. They were the most quiet meals.
Where is she now, Roger?
As a matter of fact, my eldest son has informed me that she's due in New York tomorrow. We'll have one of those dinners tomorrow night, no doubt.
Oh, it'll probably be a lot better than you expect.
I don't expect anything anymore, David. But tell me, is Claudia still excited about the farm?
Oh, and impatient. Roger, do deeds always take so long to turn
Now,
up?
don't you start getting worried. The place is as good as yours. Oh, David, it's going to be a good life for you and Claudia on the farm. Makes me very glad for you. And very sad for the rest of us.
That must be Carrington now. Hello. Hello, Mr. Carrington. Yes, this is Norton. I'm fine, and you? Good. Good. Oh, you got them, and...
Are the estimates all right?
You want to form a corporation to finance and administer.
That's what I expected him to do all along.
You've got a committee already. Fine. Meetings tomorrow evening and Friday in Chicago.
He certainly moves when he moves.
I see. And you'd like me to make the presentation? Well, of course, Mr. Killian and I have been planning to come out to Chicago. We want to see the site firsthand and discuss matters further with you. Tomorrow, eh? Yes, I can see it's pretty important for one of us to be there. Of course. Well, either Mr. Killian or I will call you as soon as we land in Chicago. Fine. Very kind of you, Mr. Carrington, but I think a hotel might be simpler. Right. Goodbye. Well, you heard it. He's really underway. It's great, isn't it?
I still can't believe it. So one of us must be in Chicago tomorrow.
It's a pretty important meeting.
And it's important that you go.
Oh, but I don't want to go.
It's your brainchild, David. You must go.
Oh, Roger, I don't go in for that sort of thing. Board meetings and dinners and stuff. But that's the part of architecture I prefer to omit.
You can't omit it. It's very important, and sometimes just as exciting as it can be dull. Tomorrow it should be exciting.
Then why don't you go?
Remember my wife in New York, first time in 7 months, family dinner. David, I can't go, much as I'd like to.
That means that
I know you've never spent a night apart from Claudia since you've been married. I'm sorry, but...
Oh, don't be silly. We're an old married couple now.
Somehow I don't think Claudia thinks so.
David, is that you?
None other.
Oh, David, I missed you so. I feel as if we'd gotten married yesterday.
How do you feel otherwise?
Perfect now. And I was disgustingly good all day. I didn't move out of the house.
How's Mama?
In the kitchen preparing supper. She won't let me help. David, your arms are full of things.
Oh, so they are. What do you know?
David, are they for me?
You're a greedy little girl.
Well, are they?
Well, there's a half a pint of heavy cream you wanted.
Oh, who cares about that? What else? Hey, you can't stand around holding things all night.
Can't I? All right. First, something for you.
For me, David, how nice of you. It's a surprise. Roses. Yellow roses. How beautiful.
I like the yellow ones best.
So do I. But, David, I'm not sick anymore. Tomorrow I can go out. Dr. Williams said so.
Oh, you don't have to be in bed for me to bring my wife flowers.
David, they're so beautiful, I thought they deserved a good reason.
They have a good reason. I love you.
And I always will. David, listen, tomorrow night there's a Mickey Mouse at the Corner Theater. Can we go?
Here's another box for you.
Another one for me. You sure this isn't for Bluff?
You're his keeper. Go on, open it.
Can't imagine what it is. Oh, David, chocolate-covered cherries. Oh, I love them. Can I eat one now?
Why not? I'll have one, too.
Oh, how delicious. Oh, I'll never be able to stop eating them. David, what about the Mickey Mouse tomorrow night? I think it's one I haven't seen.
Here is the last package, and it's for Shakespeare.
Not for me?
Well, he won't mind if you open it.
Oh, I love getting presents. Is that horrible of me?
Disgraceful.
Especially when there's no no particular reason for getting them. David, it's a jigsaw puzzle.
As big as the dining room table.
That's enormous. I'll never do it.
Sure you will. Take you exactly 2 days.
If I stay home all day and we stay home every evening, I'll get just one corner finished. Oh, David, you're sweet. I'll be fed and busied for days. And the roses are beautiful. Why'd you bring them?
I love you, I told you.
Don't you love me other nights, too?
Well, certainly, but...
I know, darling. Tonight especially. You didn't have to bring me presents, but I'm glad you did.
Then you know.
I know everything I have to know.
Whew. That's a relief.
David, what about the Mickey Mouse tomorrow night to celebrate our being in love?
Uh-oh. Then you don't know.
Know what? Honestly, you're mysterious and exciting tonight.
You go to that Mickey Mouse, darling, with, Mama.
David, are you going to be busy tomorrow night?
Yes, darling, I am.
Oh. Well, it can't be helped, I suppose. We'll wait for Mickey Mouse till Friday. I'll still love you on Friday.
But Claudia, I have to go to Chicago on business.
Overnight.
Over 2 nights.
You have to go?
You don't think I want to go, do you?
Then don't let Roger go.
He can't. His wife's coming into town.
Your wife is in town. Oh. David, can't you go and come back and not spend the night? I'll wait up for you if you do.
Darling, I'm going to Chicago, not Brooklyn.
It's so sudden.
I know.
I'm going to feel like a bachelor, only worse.
Would you like to stay at Mother's?
No, I'd rather be where you might be, David, if you were there. If you know what I mean.
Darling, will you take it easy? Not run around? Let the elevator man take Bluff for his walk? Please don't clean my pipes. Go see Mickey Mouse and get lots of sleep, will you?
Oh, David, hold me tight. That's nice.
What's nice?
Going away makes our being in love so exciting.
This broadcast of Claudia was supervised and directed by William Brown Maloney. If you worked in a factory or an office, you'd be able to step over to that familiar red cooler for a bottle of refreshing, ice-cold Coca-Cola during work hours. Housework is even more trying than outside jobs oftentimes, so why not help yourself to work refreshed? All you have to do is to keep plenty of Coke in the refrigerator. Then, when you need refreshment, pause, drink, and relax. Every day, Monday through Friday, Claudia comes to you, transcribed, with the best wishes of your friendly neighbor who bottles Coca-Cola. So listen again tomorrow at the same time. And now this is Joe King saying au revoir. And remember, whoever you are, whatever you do, wherever you may be, when you think of refreshment, think of Coca-Cola. For ice-cold Coca-Cola makes any pause the pause that refreshes.
And yes, the music does indicate that we have looped back to the first season of Claudia syndication from 1948 here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. I realized that I hadn't gotten a hold of the other, the rest of this season, the second season, when they dropped the music and just let the entertainment stand, don't you know? I love this show. It's such a sweet soap opera. And I don't even think it qualifies as a soap opera as much as it's just a regular continuing entertainment. From 76 years ago, February 4th, 1948, Claudia here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. What I'm going to do one of these days here, once we get to the end of the Lum and Abner loop, is we'll just do Claudia for a while. And on the days, the Mondays and Fridays that their show didn't air, or the Saturdays and Sundays that the show didn't air, we'll run other stuff. But what do you think of that? What do you think of Claudia? Let me know. Drop me a note, classicradio.stream, and you can find us through our Facebook or Twitters, and you can find all that at classicradio.stream, how to get in touch with us. Thanks to Sean for buying us a coffee over at classicradio.stream, and you can do that too and show your support of the show. Anyway, have a great Sunday, have a great week ahead, and we will talk to you Monday with Casey Crime Photographer, The Adventures of Philip Marlowe, Calling All Cars, The Whistler Gangbusters, and yours truly, Johnny Dollar. And I'll give you a hint, it's not Bob Bailey. That'll be coming up on Monday's Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox podcast. Have a great day.